Chapter 717. Black Wind City. The siege of the City Lord's mansion lasted for 3 hours and 9 minutes, and the Heaven Stage was completely annihilated. Old Demon Wei, the strongest of the 5th level of Heaven Stage, died. He was besieged by Captain Raging Flames, Hui Tai Lang, Phoenix Fairy Beauty, Shui Wuxia, and Princess Qian Qian. After exhausting his last bit of strength, he was still unable to escape from Yu Yang's creation domain. Yu Yang hadn't even used the illusory reality ability that was similar to the Gate of Death. He only used the illusory reality ability that was similar to the Gate of Life to completely defeat Old Demon Wei. Hangman died at the hands of the Sky Execution. General Jin Feng died painfully under the siege of Flying Locust and Hua Ban. The two great elders, Qing Song and Hong Song, fell at the feet of the Dragon Emperor and the Underworld Emperor. They were also the first batch of Heaven Stage cultivators to die in battle. Old Man Bai Song, under the siege of Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil, was unable to escape. In the process of being tortured by his inner demons, his mind collapsed, and he finally committed suicide. Bai Song was also the only Heaven Stage cultivator who committed suicide in the battle. Hoka and Savi, who were escorting Raging Flames that day, were killed by Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai. The Heaven Stage experts fell to the ground and died one by one. The strongest Old Demon Wei was also quickly defeated under the siege of the crowd. The 3-hour-long battle officially ended. Although Raging Flames, Sky Execution, Dragon Emperor, and the others were all in the right state and still had some lingering interest, Yu Yang was very clear-headed. If it wasn't for the fact that he was carrying the name of the 3 great powers, he would have let the enemy know that he only had this little bit of strength. Then, not to mention the Lionheart King, even the Emerald Lord could easily devour his group. The main reason why they were able to take down Black Wind City was because the enemy didn't know the truth and launched an attack in advance. They also happened to seize the opportunity to use internal conflicts to split the morale of the master of Black Wind City's army. In order to prevent the enemy from counterattacking, Yu Yang used the 3-realm compass to bring Sky Execution, Dragon Emperor, Underworld Emperor, and Raging Flames back to Tong Tian Tower. No matter what, he had to protect the main combat power of Heaven Stage. Moreover, it was only a small fight today. It was equivalent to building a small bridgehead in the Southern Heaven Realm. If he really wanted to seize the Emerald Territory, start a war with the Lionheart King, and then compete for the Heaven Realm, it was definitely not something that could be completed in a day or two. If conquering the Heaven Realm was a long journey of 10,000 miles, this was only the first step. Everyone, the battle in the Heaven Realm has temporarily come to an end. Everyone, combine your battle experience and go back to cultivate and comprehend. A tough battle awaits us, and a strong enemy awaits us. I hope that everyone can make breakthroughs in the next half a year. I hope that one day, our Sky Split Tower's martial artists will no longer be trapped beneath the Heaven Realm. We will no longer be frogs at the bottom of a well. Instead, we will become super powerhouses above the Heaven Realm. We will become eagles that soar through the vast horizon. Yu Yang's words caused Sky Execution and the others to feel their blood boil. Dragon Emperor, Underworld Emperor, Tianju, farewell. God's Retribution said goodbye to Dragon King and the others, then led the demonic palace away. He couldn't wait to improve himself. If there's a war, I'll be on call. The great demon King Baruth and the others had gained a lot from this trip to the Heaven Realm. In addition to killing 2 Heaven Rankers, they also got some good treasures. As for magic crystals and other valuables, they rejected them. This was because Yu Yang had promised them that within half a year, he would give each of them a Heaven Stage war beast to further improve their combat power. Guangming Continent, Dragon Emperor, and Underworld Emperor looked at each other and nodded with a smile. They were prepared to continue to fight and lead their clans to attack the Winged Clan's Guangming Continent. They might not be able to bite the Ancient Demon King now, but it didn't matter. The Ancient Demon King belonged to Yu Yang. They only needed to eliminate the Ancient Demon King's henchmen. Dragon Emperor and Underworld Emperor couldn't estimate what realm Yu Yang would reach in the future, but they knew that the small Tong Tian Tower would definitely not be able to accommodate him. Yu Yang's future was definitely in the heaven realm, or even above it. As long as they led their clans to follow his footsteps, the day when the Eastern Goblin tribe and the Underworld clan returned to the heaven realm would definitely not be far. Although this battle had broken out in advance and had achieved great success. However, the expedition of the heaven realm was only a drop in the bucket. Half a year of rest and reorganization would allow everyone's combat power to rise to a new realm, and they would also be able to reap greater benefits in the heaven realm. Most importantly, because all the heaven stage of Tong Tian Tower had withdrawn from the southern heaven realm, the Emerald Lord and the Lionheart King would not be able to find an opponent even if they went crazy. Yu Yang, who held the initiative in the war, as long as everyone's strength could keep up, the Emerald Lord and the Lionheart King would sooner or later fall under his footsteps to conquer the heaven realm. The Emerald Lord, his goal in half a year. If he had the help of Jizun and the Night Empress. Even the Lionheart King was very likely to be taken down. Within this half a year, Dragon Emperor and Underworld Emperor believed that Yu Yang would head to the Western Heaven Realm alone. Firstly, he would attack the ancient Demon King's henchmen, and secondly, he would search for the previous experts of Tong Tian Tower and find more allies. After all, conquering the Heaven Realm was not a small matter. Planning before taking action was the best way to succeed. Therefore, in the future, following this kid, there was no need to be afraid of not fighting. The two of them looked at each other and smiled before floating away. Captain Raging Flames also went to the gate of life and death with Drunken Cat and the others to continue cultivating. Black Wind City, City Lord's Mansion. The personal guards and patrolling guards in the city were all annihilated. The merchants who were watching from afar could see a team of hundreds of Heaven Realm Draconians and Heaven Realm Dwarves cleaning up the battlefield and cleaning up the mess. A figure that they had never expected to appear had now appeared. That person, it was the Roundhead Baogu who had been dead for many days. The Roundhead Baogu in the Mercenary Guild released a message. The three great powers of the Western Heaven Realm, Tong Tian, Long Tongue, and Heavenly Demon, in view of the master of Black Wind City and his henchmen persecuting the alchemy master Jun Wuyi, and during the ceasefire agreement, they had killed many disciples of the three sections. Their attitudes were extremely arrogant, and their methods were outrageous. Tong Tian, Long Tongue, and Heavenly Demon sects were forced to pay a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye, and cleanse the master of Black Wind City and his henchmen of shame. This cross-border war is not a conquest, but a battle of honor. The three sects will not occupy Black Wind City, but will hand it over to the original residents. From today onwards, Black Wind City will be renamed Nightless City in memory of Master Jun Wuyi. From the establishment of Nightless City, all taxes will be exempted for 3 years, and after 3 years, only 1% of the taxes will be collected as the cost of protection and maintenance. From today onwards, Nightless City will be a free city, no longer belonging to any power. As soon as the news came out, the entire city was in an uproar. First, the three sects ignored the jurisdiction of the Emerald Lord, changed the name of Black Wind City to Nightless City, and then changed the new Nightless City to a free city. What was the difference between this and the declaration of war by the Emerald Lord? If he conquered Black Wind City, took over it, and swore to belong to the Emerald Lord, then the consequences would not be too serious. Although the slap in the face of a cross-border conquest was a bit hard to accept, the Heaven Realm was, after all, a place where strength was important. If he really took down Black Wind City, it was only natural for him to take over. The problem was that the three sects of the Western Heaven Realm had completely designated this place as a place to commemorate Master Jun Wuyi, and had even designated it as a free city. Just this alone, not to mention the Emerald Lord's temper. Even if he was a clay man, he would still be furious. Most importantly, the attitude of the three sects of the Western Heaven Realm was unyielding. They expressed that Nightless City was a free city and would no longer abide by any power. Any evil force that touched Nightless City was a blasphemy to the master. This kind of action that left no room for negotiation could be said to have completely blocked the possibility of negotiating with the Emerald Lord. Right now, there were two types of people who were happy. One was the rebels. The second was the original residents and merchants of Blackwind City. This was especially true for the merchants of Nightless City. They were simply the lucky ones. When the Heaven Stage cultivators of the Western Heaven Realm came, not only did they not confiscate their property, they even proposed 3 years of tax exemption. 3 years of tax exemption? What kind of concept was this? The money the merchants earned could completely build a nightless city made of gold. Without taxes, all the merchants in the Southern Heaven Realm would rush over crazily. The black market here would cause the merchants to explode. Even under severe exploitation, there was still a huge profit in the black market. If there was no tax, then the income would be even faster than robbing money. Even after 3 years, a tax of 1% was still unheard of. One had to know that the tax in the black market was extremely heavy, at least 30% and even 50%. If it wasn't for such a heavy tax, how could the master of Blackwind City be the wealthiest city lord in the vicinity? How could he rope in so many Heaven Stage cultivators? Baogu, why aren't you dead yet? Someone who knew this peddler, the round-head Baogu, couldn't help but ask loudly. What did you say? Is Baogu's name something you can call? Call me Master Baogu. The two cloaked men behind Baogu were enraged. Their auras exploded, revealing the strength of the Heaven Stage. They glared angrily at the unlucky bastard. Their killing intent was so cold that it almost scared him to death. Bao, Master Baogu? The guy was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He stuttered and couldn't believe it. How could a lowly peddler who had been kicked out of the sect have 2 Heaven Stage experts as his guards? Was the strength of the Western Heaven Realm really this strong? A Heaven Stage expert was actually used as a guard? How can I, Baogu, be able to do so? It's only thanks to Nightless that I'm temporarily the foreign affairs representative of Nightless City. On the contrary, he was very humble. As usual, he bowed to the other party. Baogu belongs to the camel-carrying clan. His life is cheap and undying, but it's a pity that there's no night. I'm powerless to protect my friends. I'm truly ashamed of myself. When he said this, everyone understood. It turned out that these two were Jun Wu Ye's guards. They were sent by the 3 sects to protect Baogu. Baogu was killed together with Master Jun Wu Yi. Although his status was low, he was accepted as a good friend by the 3 sects of the Western Heaven Realm. He suddenly became so awesome. He really didn't expect that Baogu, this lucky guy, would survive a disaster even under the pressure of a huge rock. He even became the foreign affairs representative of the 3 sects of the Western Heaven Realm after they conquered Blackwind City. The guy who used a contemptuous tone to question Baogu was so scared that he quickly knelt down in front of Baogu, slapped himself a few times, and kowtowed repeatedly to beg for forgiveness. Even many of the big merchants who didn't put Baogu in their eyes had rushed over after hearing the news. They respectfully bowed to Baogu, greeted him, and called him the chief representative. Those who had originally offended Baogu or mocked him now withered. They didn't apologize, and it was even more so not. Everyone knew that Baogu was just a scumbag peddler. Even if he was a peddler, he wasn't very qualified. However, Baogu was lucky. A random human he knew was actually the rarest alchemist master in the Heaven Realm. That day, Baogu protected the alchemist master Junwu Yi with his life and was beaten black and blue by the vice president and personal guard captain. Everyone saw it. Moreover, at that time, everyone was secretly mocking Baogu for his foolish actions. For his friend, he had risked his life. Was this worth it? Looking back, Baogu's luck wasn't without reason. At the very least, he had used his life to exchange. If it wasn't for the fact that he had gone to war with the alchemist Master Junwu Yi, would the 3 sects of the Western Heaven Realm think highly of a peddler like him? Would he send 2 heaven-ranked powerhouses to be his temporary bodyguards? It was impossible. Baogu, Chief Baogu, that news about the 3 years of tax exemption, please tell us about it. Someone asked about this. It's true. The 3 sects of the Western Heaven Realm, what kind of heroic figures were they? Each and every one of them was indomitable. How could they care less about this tofu-sized Black Wind City? What they wanted was honor, as well as a supreme respect for the master. That was why Black Wind City had changed its name to Nightless City. That was why it had become a free city, and that was why it was exempted from taxes. In the future, Nightless City would have even more benefits. It was only because the three sects were in a state of grief that they weren't in a good mood, so they didn't have the time to care about those things for the time being. Because the higher-ups of the three sects felt that it would have an impact on them. The ones who came were all juniors. Otherwise, how could Black Wind City still exist in the world? The entire Emerald Territory would be razed to the ground. The master of Black Wind City would never know how many sins his trusted aide had committed, especially since he stubbornly resisted to the end without any remorse. It was the greatest disrespect to Nightless. If it wasn't for someone snitching and finding the place where Wu Yi died, Wu Yi would still be buried under that dirty boulder. I, Bao Gu, am afraid that I wouldn't be able to see the light of day again. Bao Gu's words caused the eyes of some people to light up. Someone snitched? Bao Gu's unintentional words had inadvertently revealed an important secret. Who was the one who informed the experts of the Western Heaven Realm to find the place where Jun Wu Yi died and confirm the news of his death? If it wasn't for someone snitching, then the experts of the three sects of the Western Great Realm might not have been so angry that they couldn't control themselves and immediately came to kill them. Of course, many people remember this useful piece of news. Right now, what everyone needed to do was to continue flattering Bao Gu and obtain more secrets. The round-head Bao Gu peddler had been promoted to the head representative of Nightless City, so he had to build a good relationship with him. This was equivalent to building a good relationship with the three great powers, Tong Tian, Long Tongue, and Sky Demon. Brother Bao Gu, when will you be free? We, a few merchant groups, would like to invite you to the Drunken Jade Little House for a drink and to listen to some songs. Originally, Master Chiao, who was ranked above Master Barton in terms of wealth and had 300 allied Chamber of Commerce, was not here, but his trusted butler had rushed over. Now his face was full of smiles as he bowed to the peddler who had kicked Bao Gu 2 streets away, as if Bao Gu was his brother. "Huh!" Master Chiao, who had just rushed over from Greenleaf City after hearing the news, slapped his trusted butler and scolded, "Dog slave, what kind of identity does Chief Bao Gu have? How can you call him brother? Call him Master Bao Gu." Chapter 718. There were many misers in the world. Some people's eyes would light up at the sight of money. Some looked like a beggar, but were actually millionaires. Some couldn't sleep every night if they didn't count the money in the vault. Some, even before they died, if they saw 2 lit candles, they would extinguish one of them before they could close their eyes. All misers, let alone anything else, definitely had one thing in common. That was money. Because of their stinginess, they, who only had income and very little expenditure, were often able to accumulate a considerable amount of wealth. Therefore, a miser was usually a miser. Captain Wild Bull was such a person. Of course, he concealed it very well on the surface. Other than Yo Jin, no one else knew that Captain Wild Bull was such a person. The wealth that Captain Wild Bull had accumulated over the years was much richer than that of the master of Black Wind City, who was running the black market in Black Wind City. When Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Shuetan Lang, and the others were in the master of Black Wind City's underground treasury, they discovered that even though Barton had taken away most of his belongings, he still had 1 billion in assets. According to the Southern Demon King, who was known as a treasure collector, the master of Black Wind City's net worth definitely exceeded 3 billion gold coins. He let Barton take away 1 billion, and his own storage ring contained 1 billion of the best treasures. The remaining 1 billion was prepared to be shared with Old Demon Way and the others. Not counting the minerals, forestry, medicinal herbs, magic crystal business, and taxes, there was actually 1 billion in funds. Even the wealthy prince of Tian Luo sighed at his inferiority. Nyo Jin, however, was a little disdainful. Black Wind is definitely a prodigal son. Just the black market in the city has an average monthly tax income of more than 50 million. Adding the minerals, forestry, and so on, Black Wind City's monthly income is definitely more than 100 million. And this was only on the surface. Private looting, bribery, rewards, and sharing of profits were not included. But after working for so many years, he had only accumulated 3 billion. What a prodigal son. If Captain Wild Bull could have that kind of income, if he didn't save up 30 billion, then he wouldn't be considered capable. Neojin's words made Yi Kong and the others sweat a little. According to you, Captain Wild Bull is richer than the master of Black Wind City? Yi Kong nervously swallowed his saliva. How much is Wild Bull? Shuetan Lang, who had never liked money, was also a little curious. 5 billion. Prince Tian Luo felt that this was the limit. No, even if we don't count the value of the treasures in Captain Wild Bull's storage ring, the treasures that I personally put into the stingy bastard treasure are worth 9,986,153,459 gold. I still need 13,846,541 gold to reach a whole 10 billion. When Neojin said this, Yi Kong and the others all fell to the ground. Sure enough, robbing money is the fastest way. Fatty Hai muttered to himself. As if he had been enlightened, his eyes lit up. Where is that stingy bastard's treasure? Quick, bring us there. The Southern Demon King asked Neojin to lead the way. Neojin, however, did not move. Instead, he looked at everyone with a troubled expression. Could it be that this kid was too stingy to hand it over? If that wasn't the case, why would he tell Yu Yang about the stingy bastard's treasure? If he didn't say it out loud, Yu Yang wouldn't even know where the Captain Wild Bull's treasure was. Yi Kong was surprised. He grabbed Neojin's collar and shouted, "If you have something to fart, then hurry up and say it. Don't look for trouble here. If you're sure that you want me to beat your lowly body up before you're willing to lead the way, I don't mind using my fist to loosen your bones." The Lee brothers moved their fists, making cracking sounds. Fatty Hai quickly stood up and acted as the leader. He smiled and said, "Don't pay attention to these barbarians. When it comes to money, only by believing in us will we have a sense of resonance. Do we have to use a teleportation scroll to enter? Don't worry, we have a teacher. We don't have any other skills, but when it comes to teleportation, we're proficient. As long as you tell us the approximate location, we can definitely teleport in. Look, this student Lu Yi is the world's best piercing master. There's nothing in the world that can't stop her." This actually is not the problem. Neojin scratched his head in embarrassment and explained with some difficulty. Actually, the stingy ghost treasure is a holy level gold storage treasure. Only stingy ghosts can enter. There's such a treasure? Yi Kong and the others were even more curious. When Neojin used the migratory turtle's tears to find the exact teleportation point, everyone rushed in like a swarm of bees. Their vision darkened, and they discovered that they had entered an underground cave. The underground cave was not high. However, it was built with huge rocks and was very sturdy. It would definitely not collapse due to the vibration of the ground. Neojin lit a torch and led everyone through a series of twists and turns before arriving at a slightly wider platform. He pointed to the flat square rock in the center of the platform and said, "This is where I usually bring in or out the goods for Captain Wild Bull." He then pointed to a stone wall. "There's a secret door here. It's the entrance to the stingy ghost treasure." Yi Kong and the others widened their eyes. Looking left and right, they found that the stone wall was exactly the same as the surroundings. They couldn't see anything unusual. Was there really a secret door entrance here? Why couldn't they see it? That's right. If any of you can treat a gold coin as 10 flowers, wear a suit of clothes until it has 10 patches, and wear a hat for 10 years, then you can see this secret door. Neojin explained that only a stingy ghost could see this secret door. This door isn't that magical, right? Can you really not see it? When Fatty Hai said this, Yi Kong and the others were all dumbfounded. "Fatty, you can see it?" Shuetan Lang was shocked. "I can see it very clearly." Fatty Hai proudly described it to everyone. He said that it was a red door with a few heaven runes as decorations and 9 diamonds on it. No wonder. Everyone suddenly realized why this damn Fatty was so stingy. He was a natural stingy ghost. If there was no such test, they wouldn't know that he was stingy to this extent. You can see that this door is red. The more stingy a person is, the redder the secret door is. Neo Jin was also a little dizzy. If you can see the red door, then it proves that your stinginess is no less than mine. Young Master Hai, I really can't tell. When Fatty Hai heard this, he immediately became anxious and argued loudly. What? How can a generous person like me be a stingy ghost? I even treated everyone to a drink last year. Did you guys forget? Yikong racked his brains to think. Treating everyone to a drink last year? It seemed like that really happened. The Li brothers could not remember anymore. Shui Tenlang was thinking, other than treating everyone to a drink last year, what else did Fatty Hai do? After thinking for a long time, he still couldn't think of anything else. Prince of Tianluo did not need to think and directly said, Young Master Hai, you're a stingy ghost, definitely. You don't need to quibble, because the last time you treated me to a drink, you still haven't returned that money. When Prince of Tianluo said this, everyone looked at Fatty Hai with disdain, causing him to be a little embarrassed. He hurriedly argued to Lu Yi and Bao Er. Lu Yi, Bao Er, I am innocent. The last time you bought the wisdom fruit, wasn't that my money? I'm a dignified boss. How could I be a stingy ghost? I was just a little more careful in my daily life. When you bought the wisdom fruit, it was still my money. A certain boss has been keeping my wallet safe for a long time. Prince of Tianluo's words made Fatty Hai directly hit his head on the wall, wishing he could find a hole to hide in. As a boss, did you also have to shout loudly when I treated you to a drink last year? Yikong imitated Fatty Hai's usual tone and ridiculed them to his heart's content. Don't be like this. I will treat everyone to a drink when we go back. Fatty Hai was sweating profusely. Cough, cough. As a boss, did you also have to shout loudly when I bought a few wisdom fruits for Sister Li last year? That's impossible, and I'm very low-key. Yikong did not let Fatty Hai off, deliberately making him embarrassed to death. Everyone burst into laughter. Even the kind-hearted and compassionate Lu Yi covered her small mouth and laughed secretly. I hate stingy ghosts the most. Bao Er immediately pouted her small mouth. I was wrong, okay? Monkey, shut up. When we go back, I will buy wisdom fruits for everyone to eat until your beasts are stuffed to death. Fatty Hai's face was now full of tears. If Bing Er knows that a certain fatty who calls himself a boss is a stingy ghost, Yikong still had a trump card. Fatty Hai was thick-skinned and shameless. He was invulnerable, impervious to fire and water. However, he also had a weakness. Even if he died, he was not willing to lose face in front of Yu Bing. If Yikong told this matter to Yu Bing, Fatty Hai might even commit suicide. Without waiting for Yikong to finish speaking, Fatty Hai had already covered his mouth with one hand, covering it so tightly that he almost suffocated Yikong to death. Monkey, if you dare to speak nonsense, see if I don't tear apart your skinny bones and feed them to the dogs. Don't you just want to drink? Look at you. Who do you think this young master is? Young and rich, that's exactly what I am. When a stingy ghost treasure is over, when we go back, I will stuff you into a wine jar and drown you. The Li brothers were whispering to each other. I heard that Qilin wine is very famous. If you can use it to bathe, I believe it will feel very good. Fatty Hai was angry. If you want to kill someone, just stab me with a knife. What do you mean by saying that? Shui Tanlang's expression was cool. I don't like to drink. Fatty Hai immediately praised him. That's right. People like you who put their heart and soul into cultivation are real warriors. Monkeys and whatnot, they're all smelly dog shit. Shui Tanlang nodded. I can't say I'm a real warrior, but if someone is willing to buy a heaven stage beast for me. Hearing this, Fatty Hai immediately exploded and scolded. Coffin face, do you know how much a heaven stage beast is worth? It's easily more than 10 million gold, and it's extremely popular. The bidding in the auction house is like a mad dog. Do you think heaven stage beasts are cabbages sold in the market? After scolding him, he felt that offending Shui Tanlang was not a good idea. Because if Yikong said something bad about him to Yu Bing would most likely not believe him. Usually, everyone would joke around, so they were used to it. But if Shui Tanlang said it, then it would be the truth. He never lied, so his image would be completely ruined. He hurriedly changed the topic and bowed to Shui Tianlang with a smile. Second young master Shui is extremely talented. I just want to give it to you. But why would you want my trash beast? Oh, right. Didn't we catch a thunder beast recently? I think it has good potential. And Princess Sisai also said that she was prepared to keep it for everyone to contract. As a boss, the person I care about the most is definitely the one with the most potential. The Thunder Beast will be contracted by you. Also, I am prepared to ask Princess Sisai for a Heaven Stage Wind-type magic crystal for the Thunder Beast to absorb. Maybe it can transform into a Thunder Beast. Previously, Grandma Wu-Tung had mentioned this possibility. I have remembered it in my heart. With a Heaven Stage Thunder Beast here, second young master Shui, why are you still worried about beasts? Just train hard and don't think about anything else. Tianlang already has a Thunder Beast, then what are you giving me? I also seem to be lacking a Heaven Stage Beast. Prince Tian Luo laughed. Your Highness, you don't lack money. Please don't tease me. Fatty Hai hurriedly begged for mercy. What are you guys arguing about? Hurry up and move my things. Fatty, come in and move them. Southern Demon King walked out from the stone wall, holding a small golden treasure chest in her hands. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. When did this lady go in? Neo Jin was even more shocked, as if he was struck by lightning. You actually managed to move things out from that stingy bastard's treasure chest? What's going on? Southern Demon King was puzzled. The treasure chest was filled with treasure chests. I moved them out casually. Can I do that? Even if a normal person went in, they wouldn't be able to come out without leaving behind 100 gold. Even if it's me, I would need to leave behind something of the same value before I can move out my treasures. How could you just move out the treasure chest like that? Neo Jin felt like he was going to faint. The stingy bastard's treasure chest had a special and powerful curse. If a normal person went in and didn't leave behind 100 gold, they would be trapped inside for life. Even if they were a stingy bastard, they would also need to leave behind some money as an exchange before they could take out the items inside. It was said that only the most stingy person in the world could break the curse of the stingy bastard. Could it be that this girl, with a jade peep in her hands, was the most stingy person in the world? It didn't seem like it. Southern Demon King shook her head doubtfully at Neo Jin's words. Could it be that the stingy bastard's treasure chest has lost its effect? What I saw was a golden secret door, not a red one. Furthermore, there are a few levels in the treasure chest. It's not as bad as you said. I definitely didn't leave behind any money, and the treasure chest was also moved out casually. I didn't feel like anyone asked me for money. Neo Jin's eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. His hands were trembling as he pointed towards the secret door in the stone wall. The secret door you saw was golden? Was it really golden? I also saw golden, purplish gold. What's wrong with that? Yang also came in. His words almost made Neo Jin vomit blood. Even if there was a stingy bastard in the world, there would only be one of them. How could he and the girl with the jade peepa both see the secret door of the stingy bastard's treasure chest shining with a golden light? How could there be two stingy people in the world? If there were two of them, would they still be the stingy bastard? Furthermore, he and she didn't look like stingy bastards at all. Chapter 719. Yu Yang lightly brushed the stone wall, and almost everyone saw the secret door. It was just that the color was different. For example, Yi Kong, the Li brothers Shui Tianlang, and the Prince of Tian Luo. What they saw was a black secret door with faint heaven runes flickering on it. Fatty Hai and Neo Jin, who could see the secret door, could now see an orange-red color with a hint of gold. We can see the secret door now. Can we go in as well? Lu Yi and Bao Er asked curiously. Let's give it a try. Yu Yang smiled slightly. Oh my god. Yi Kong always trusted Yu Yang the most. He was the first to stand up, take a step forward, and instantly passed through the secret door on the stone wall and walked in. He discovered that the magnificent treasure room was filled with all kinds of boxes. There were pure wood, bronze, silver, and gold chests, and he immediately cried out in surprise. The Li brothers, who were following behind him, discovered that the master of Black Wind City's treasure vault could not be compared to this place. Although the master of Black Wind City was also very rich, Compared to the Captain Wild Bull, he was like a beggar. There's a very uncomfortable power. Shueten Lang was not interested in money. He keenly sensed that there was an invisible curse power inside. There should be another door in front. The Prince of Tian Luo was the most meticulous. He discovered that there were boxes all around him, but there was nothing in one direction. He immediately deduced from the Southern Demon King's words that there was another secret door in that direction. Io, Lu Yi and Bao Er were unable to enter. The secret door of the stingy ghost's treasure vault prevented them from entering. In fact, when Lu Ye's perforate deer entered the treasure vault, the moment Lu Yi teleported at the same time, the power inside expelled the perforate deer. The kind and selfless her, even with the help of Yu Yang, found the entrance to the secret door. She was unable to enter the stingy ghost treasure vault. Bao Er, a golden elf who loved nature and worshipped the heavenly way, was also unable to enter. Not only them, but the Oxhead Fan Luan Tai and the 4 orc girls were also unable to enter. As females, the Southern Demon King and Drunken Cat didn't face this obstacle. Princess Sisai, Shui Wuxia, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and the others were in the grimoire world. When they heard about this strange phenomenon, they all came out to try it out. Very quickly, they discovered that it was very easy for them to enter the treasure trove, but it was more difficult for them to come out. There was a very powerful curse stopping them. When Princess Sisai picked up a box at random, she realized that she could not walk out of the secret door. Neo Jin carefully explained. In the stingy ghost treasure trove, you have to make an exchange of ranks, or else you won't be able to take out any treasures. Yu Bing and Nen also came out of the grimoire world and tried to go out. Like Lu Yi, Bao Er, Fan Luan Tai, and the others, they realized that even if they were brought in by Yu Yang using the grimoire world, they could not leave at all. Their reaction alarmed Yi Kong and Fatty Hai. When they tried it, they realized that there was a problem. Other than Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, Shuetan Lang, Prince of Tian Luo, and the Li brothers could not leave. Neo Jin explained, those who are not stingy will be restricted by the power of the curse. If they want to leave, they have to pay 100 gold, or else they will be trapped here for the rest of their lives. It's that strange? Yi Kong was very depressed. This was the first time he realized that he was inferior to Fatty Hai. Ha, monkey, don't struggle anymore. Just pay the money obediently. Fatty Hai was so happy that he was dancing with joy. She is not a stingy ghost, and if she doesn't pay the money, how could she take the box out? Princess Sisai pointed at the Southern Demon King and asked Neo Jin for an explanation. Neo Jin scowled. He also wanted to explain, but he was afraid that Yu Yang and the Southern Demon King would be angry. This was because, according to legend, only the stingiest person could see the golden secret door. However, it was impossible for there to be 2 stingiest people. Furthermore, these 2 people did not look like stingiest people. Seeing that he did not dare to say anything, the city mistress of Fallen Flower smiled and asked the Southern Demon King, "Can you tell us how many days do you wear a set of clothes? How much do you spend a day? What are your hobbies?" The Southern Demon King naturally understood what she meant and replied with a smile, "Although I like to collect treasures, I am not a stingy ghost. Clothes? Sometimes I change 3 sets in a day. Once I wear them, unless there is a special meaning to them, I will not wear them again. I will just throw them away. I don't spend much on food, makeup, and the like. On average, I spend around 1,000 gold. I eat very little, so I am easy to take care of. Most of my makeup is light, and the main thing is to bathe in milk and flowers, which are more expensive. If I include training beasts and collecting treasures, I would spend an average of 10,000 gold a day." Pooh! Yi Kong and the others spat out water like blue whales when they heard this. Oh my God! Fatty Hai squatted in a corner and drew circles. What was a rich person? What was a luxurious life? This was it. He realized that the small amount of money that he had saved was not even enough for her to spend it all in a month. Spending 10,000 gold a day, living like this is really too extravagant. Tears streamed down Neo Jin's face as he asked the Southern Demon King in a sobbing tone, "Can you tell me where you usually throw your rubbish?" Fatty Hai jumped up and gave him a punch, scolding angrily. Go away. If anyone wants to pick it up, it should be me. When did it become your turn to be a stingy ghost? Spending an average of 10,000 gold is indeed a little high. Princess Sisai was also a little speechless. Although she was used to being extravagant, she would definitely not spend more than 100 gold. In the soaring dragon continent, 100 gold was enough for a family of 3 to live comfortably in Shangjing for a year. Of course, in the higher levels of Tong Tian Tower, the purchasing power of 100 gold was slightly lower, but it was not too far off. Spending 10,000 gold a day, this level of spending was indeed a little scary. However, thinking about the Southern Demon King's identity and status in the Eastern Goblin tribe, she would definitely be loved by everyone. It would be hard for her not to be extravagant. Since the answer could not be confirmed, everyone turned their gaze to Yu Yang. He would definitely know the truth. Regarding this, no matter if it was Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Princess Sisai, or Shui Wuxia, they all firmly believed in it. Yu Yang thought for a while, actually, this is a kind of restriction on one's spiritual power. Those whose spiritual power has not reached a certain level like Lu Yi and Bao Er, even if they see the secret door, they would not be able to enter. With the same principle, even if they were brought in through the grimoire world, you guys would not be able to leave. Yi Kong was puzzled and pointed at Fatty Hai. Then how could Fatty leave? Yu Yang smiled slightly. His smile was as bright as the sun. Master Hai's strength is not comparable to yours, and his spiritual power might also be incomparable to yours. However, in the depths of his heart, there is an obsession that is even more tenacious than steel. This is also the same for Neo General. You guys must have encountered something in the past that affected your willpower to a certain extent. Even if it was hidden deep inside, it would slowly show itself in your daily life. This kind of obsession is the stinginess of human nature. Princess Sisai seemed to have caught onto a flash of understanding. No, being stingy is a kind, but it is not absolute. Perhaps it is something else. For example, Wild Bull, he is not stingy, but because of his power and position, or rather the art of politics. His heart of politics has surpassed the limit of the stingy ghost treasure, so he could also enter. Of course, he is also stingy, but since he is willing to use money to buy his subordinates, it proves that his stinginess is not as good as his desire for power. When Yu Yang said this, the Southern Demon King became happy and nodded. That's right, I'm not stingy, but I love collecting treasures. Everyone felt a little dizzy after hearing this. How strong was her heart to collect treasures to surpass the limit of the stingy ghost treasure, a holy ranked treasure. Regarding this, no one dared to think about it. What about us? Yu Bing, Inan, Lu Yi, and Bao Er looked at Yu Yang. You guys are all good children. Other than training, you don't think about anything else. You don't have a strong desire for material things, so you guys can't fight against the restrictions of the stingy ghost treasure. This is very normal. Yu Yang caressed Yu Bing's little head. Go back to the grimoire world. This is not a place for you guys to stay. The stingy ghost treasure is cursed. It's not something you guys need. Yes. When Yu Bing and the others heard Yu Yang's praise, their hearts were filled with sweetness. They were led back to the grimoire world by the bloody Queen Red and man. The stingy ghost treasure only has these things? Princess Sisai opened a few boxes and found that other than medicinal herbs, there were minerals, a small number of gems and magic crystals, and some of them were looted items. There were all kinds of weapons, but there was nothing that she was interested in. She was immediately disappointed. There's a secret door inside, and a lot of boxes with rune seals. Inside, there's a huge gem like a small mountain. Maybe it's something good. Southern Demon King couldn't see through these things either. In her heart, only treasures were worth collecting. Tears streamed down Neo Jin's face once again. They actually didn't like the things that he had painstakingly collected and organized. Was there any justice in this world? If Captain Wild Bull knew that these people didn't even bat an eye at the large amount of resources that his subordinates had plundered, he would probably jump out of the rock in anger. What the miser Neo Jin couldn't understand the most was how the Southern Goblin King, who wasn't a miser but a prodigal daughter, was able to move all the boxes outside. Why didn't the power of the curse in the stingy ghost treasure work on her? Could it be that there was a treasure on her that could ignore the power of the curse? To be able to ignore the power of the curse of the stingy ghost's treasure. Could it be a divine weapon? Thinking of this, Neojin immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He now understood why these women looked down on the precious items that the Wild Bull group had painstakingly plundered for more than 10 years. The reason was that they all had divine weapons in their hands, so they didn't care about this trash at all. Inside the second secret door, it felt much smaller than the huge first floor. Inside, there were nearly 100 boxes. Every box was sealed with a heaven rune. Neojin explained that these were all snatched back by Captain Wildbull when he was robbing some city lord, or given to Captain Wildbull by the Emerald Lord. He was unable to find out what was inside. Moreover, with his ability, he couldn't move the box out, so the Captain Wildbull had always been at ease with Neojin. I can't put it in the grimoire. Fatty High tried, and found that he couldn't put the box sealed with runes into the grimoire or storage ring. The restrictions here are even stronger. When Xue Tanlang entered, he felt that it was harder to enter than the second secret door. That's right. Yu Yang nodded. Hui Tai Lang obediently brought the rune treasure chest over and let a man move them into the grimoire world one by one. Neojin fell to the ground again. He had never seen such a wolf, nor had he seen such a person. This was definitely not a stingy ghost. This was a robber. Let's enter the third secret door. Princess Sisai excitedly set off towards the third secret door. When the last one, Yu Yang, entered, he discovered a huge red crystal that was as big as a fake mountain in front of him. He immediately exclaimed in surprise, "Heaven crystal? This is actually a heaven crystal? All right, this heaven crystal should be ownerless. Then it's mine. Everyone congratulate me." When Neojin heard this, his face was filled with tears. Yu Yang was much more awesome than the Captain Wildbull. He had been a robber all these years for nothing. Chapter 720. Hearing what Yu Yang said, everyone was stunned. Only after a while did they react. Pointing at the huge red crystal, they exclaimed, "This is a sky crystal?" Sky crystal, also known as Resurrection Sky Crystal, was a unique magical crystal in Heaven Realm. It was said that as long as a person died not long ago and the important parts of their body were still intact, they could use the magical energy stored in it to revive. In Tong Tian Tower, because Prison Emperor fought with the three great leaders, the space passage had completely collapsed and was sealed. This kind of sky crystal had long been used up. There were no more left. Some people even doubted the existence of such a magical gem. Now that Yu Yang said that this huge red crystal was a sky crystal, it was no wonder that Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were shocked. Forget about the warriors of Tong Tian Tower. Even Neojin, who had always lived in Heaven Realm. He had never seen a sky crystal before. Of course, Neojin had heard of this treasure. In the lower realm of Heaven Realm, sky crystals were rarely seen. Usually, only those who were Heaven ranked level 5 and above could enter Heaven Realm. I'm so stupid. Really, I actually thought it was a red radium crystal. Neojin muttered to himself and became Anxianglin. Such a big piece of sky crystal. We're rich. Fatty Hai drooled like a waterfall. Don't sleep so early. Yu Yang snorted coldly. Even though it looked like a huge red crystal that was as big as a fake mountain, it could not be considered as a heaven crystal. Only its core, which was the purest core that was formed after absorbing energy for hundreds of millions of years, was the true heaven crystal. Using his heaven eyes' divine vision, Yu Yang could see that this sky crystal was only the size of a finger. Furthermore, compared to the sky crystals recorded in history, this sky crystal that was the size of a finger was not considered small. The smallest sky crystal was the size of a bean. Because most of the records of sky crystals from 10,000 years ago were lost, Yu Yang did not collect much information. However, the sky crystals within 10,000 years of Tong Tian Tower were mostly the size of a bean. There were only a few exceptions. Furthermore, many of the heaven crystals were fake heaven crystals. They weren't crystals that were directly cut from the sky red crystal that contained the heaven crystals. It was just like cutting a piece of the red crystal that was the size of a fake mountain and bringing it back to Tong Tian Tower, calling it a heaven crystal. In truth, the heavenly red crystals that formed heaven crystals were fake heaven crystals. Of course, the pseudo-heaven crystal could not resurrect the dead. If it was used to revive some low-level beasts with good potential, it would not be a problem. Fatty High stuck his whole body to the red crystal and cheered, "What a good treasure." With this, we don't have to worry about dying in battle anymore. Everyone was speechless. In truth, there was a limit to heaven crystal's resurrection abilities. As long as the body was reduced to pieces and the important parts of the body were not complete, such as the head was gone, the heart was shattered, or the organs were in a mess, it was very unlikely for the person to be resurrected. Most importantly, if they did not have the best rescuers, even if they had heaven crystal, it would be useless. If they gave the heaven crystal to Fatty High, he would be on the verge of death. However, if he did not know how to use the energy stored in the heaven crystal, his life would still be in danger. For people like Yu Yang, even if he did not have the heaven crystal and only had a pseudo-heaven red crystal, it would be easy for him to save a person who was on the verge of death. Hence, the most important thing was not the treasure, but the person. It was true that the heaven crystal had the miraculous ability to resurrect people. However, if one wanted to use it, they would need someone who knew how to use it. How we move out? Yikong thought of this problem. In the 3 secret doors of the stingy ghost treasure, the power of the curse was the strongest. Without Yu Yang's help, Yikong and the others would not even be able to leave this place. How could they move such a huge heavenly red crystal out? Meow meow. Hui Tai Lang spread his hands, indicating that he could not do anything here. It's a little troublesome in here. Even the Southern Demon King realized that it was very strenuous for her to move even the smallest box in here. In the 3rd secret door, other than the red crystal that was as big as a fake mountain, there were only 5 boxes. The lowest was a silver-ranked room box. There were 2 silver-ranked, 2 gold-ranked, and a platinum-ranked box in the middle. Yu Yang laughed when he saw this. Only idiots would use idiotic methods. What do you think we need to open this stingy ghost treasure? Exchange ranks or forcefully snatch it? The power of the curse in a holy ranked treasure isn't very strong, but it isn't weak either. If we are inside and receive the power of the curse, no matter if we exchange ranks or forcefully snatch it, we will still be trapped. The Southern Demon King looked at him expectantly. Then what's your method? First, let me tell you a story. Yu Yang kept everyone in suspense. There was an old stingy ghost who buried a jar of gold in his garden. No one knew about it, until one day, someone dug up the jar of gold, causing him to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. The person who dug up the gold used it as a threat to make the old stingy ghost do many things to make people feel better. Tell me, what is the main point of this story? It's that jar of gold. Fatty High blurted out without hesitation. As expected, there's only gold in your eyes. Yikong looked at him with infinite disdain. It's that mysterious person who stole the gold. The Southern Demon King could somewhat guess what Yu Yang wanted to say. Let me give another example. There was another stingy ghost. One day, he was driving a luxurious carriage that someone gave him for an outing. Halfway through the journey, an earthquake dragon appeared and rushed towards the carriage. At this time, his wife and children were extremely frightened and wanted to escape into the sky, deeply afraid that the earthquake dragon would trample the carriage. However, this stingy ghost was unwilling to give up on this luxurious carriage. He would rather die than to drive the carriage, preparing to escape from the earthquake dragon's trampling. Just as the earthquake dragon was about to trample him flat, he had no choice but to tell his wife his will, telling her to remember to find the key to his treasure house and not forget to take out the account book to collect taxes from the farmers who rented the land. In the end, everyone wanted to know if this stingy ghost was dead or not. In the end, the earthquake dragon didn't trample him to death and stopped. This stingy ghost patted his chest with lingering fear and muttered to himself, "Looks like I have to find a more secret place to keep the key next time." When Yu Yang said this, Everyone was stunned by this stingy ghost's words and actions. Why didn't the earthquake dragon trample this fellow to death? Yikong had forgotten that this was a story. It's actually not easy to want a stingy ghost to die. Yuyong laughed out loud. I heard that there was such a stingy ghost. Before he died, no matter what, he couldn't close his eyes. He would stretch out 2 fingers, but he wouldn't breathe his last. Stretch out 2 fingers before he died? What does that mean? Everyone was curious. Normal people wouldn't be able to guess the thoughts of a stingy ghost. You guys should ask Neo Jin and Fatty Hai. Yuyong threw this question to Neo Jin and Fatty Hai. There should be 2 gold coins hidden in the crevice of the wall that haven't been dug out yet. Neo Jin guessed. No, it must be that when this old fellow went to the banquet, there were still 2 pieces of meat that he didn't eat. In the end, he died with his eyes wide open. When Fatty Hai said this, he realized that everyone was looking at him with a frightened gaze. Of course, Neo Jin wasn't like that. Neo Jin looked at Fatty Hai with admiration and held his hand tightly. Bosom friend, I've never met someone who resonates with me like you. No, I want to become sworn brothers with you. From now on, you'll be my big brother. You're not bad too. Fatty Hai and Neo Jin appreciated each other. The 2 of them shook hands and hugged each other again. All right, are you guys done yet? Yikong was infuriated. He raised his legs and kicked the 2 stingy bastards to a corner. He then asked Yuyong, what is the truth? Why didn't the stingy ghost die? The reason is very simple. Because everyone came to visit the stingy ghost. The room was very dark, and his son lit 2 lamps. The stingy ghost saw that it was too wasteful, so he died with his eyes wide open. His wife, who understood his temperament, extinguished one of the lamps. In the end, the stingy ghost died in satisfaction. Yuyong announced the answer, making Yikong and the others completely speechless. This is too admirable. I never thought that there would be such a person in this world. After Neo Jin and Fatty Hai heard this, the 2 of them hugged each other and cried bitterly. You guys, Shuetan Lang was speechless. After a long while, the Southern Demon King smiled and said, even I have been educated by these few stories. It seems that I was a little too stubborn in the past. Let's not think about that for now. Now, everyone should know what the true secret method to open the stingy ghost treasure is. That is the key. Neo Jin quickly shook his head and waved his hand. There's no key. Whether it's the Captain Wild Bull or the Emerald Lord, none of them have a key. If they did, they would have taken out the treasures here long ago. He said this because he was worried that Yuyong would doubt his loyalty. Towards his new master, Yuyong, he would definitely be 100% loyal. Although he was not a stingy ghost, Neo Jin did not actually worship a stingy ghost. What he truly worshipped was Yu Yang's actions as a bandit. It was too barbaric. Although the Captain Wild Bull was burning and looting everywhere, compared to the Yu clan's 3rd young master, he was simply trash. The Captain Wild Bull could barely be considered a bandit, but the Yu clan's 3rd young master was the king of bandits, a godlike bandit, who could steal someone else's things and still be confident. There was only one person in the world, and that was the Yu clan's 3rd young master. With the Captain Wild Bull, he was at most a warehouse keeper. However, working with the Yu clan's 3rd young master was simply too great. This kind of thing that directly moved someone else's treasure vault was simply the most dreamt of Neo Jin's life. This was not something that the Captain Wild Bull could give him go to the side. Yikong already understood what Yu Yang and the Southern Demon King wanted to say. There was no key, and Yu Yang was the human key to open any treasure vault. Even the God's ruins, Yu Yang dared to have designs on it. What was a holy grade treasure like the stingy ghost treasure could stop him with just that? Yu Yang asked Hui Tai Lang to bring Yikong, Fatty Hai, Neo Jin, and the others out using the grimoire while he stayed behind. Since this stingy bastard treasure was a holy rank treasure, it would be easy to handle. A holy grade treasure was only a type of power that was close to the power of the ancient code. Its cursed power, compared to the power of the true ancient code, was far inferior. With regards to using Nirvana Flame and Ji Zunes will to refine this treasure, Yu Yang was still very confident. The Heaven Realm Runic Circle lit up one by one. In addition to refining the stingy ghost treasure, Yu Yang also wanted to take the opportunity to refine the sky crystal. Using the precious sky crystal to revive? Yu Yang had never thought about it because the sky crystal could only revive the body. In a real battle, the three great leaders like Void and Jiu Shao would destroy the body, so the sky crystal would be useless. Even if it was a level higher, the enemy's soul would be sealed, just like what happened to Queen Vivian Li. Even if she had the sky crystal, could she escape the absorption of the black hole seal? The real use of the sky crystal was to increase one's potential and create a perfect body. Of course, normal people would not be able to withstand that kind of energy increase. Yu Yang had not completely refined the Mother Earth potion that he had absorbed previously. Now that he had the sky crystal, he believed that he would be able to make a huge leap forward with the combination of the two. Previously, Yu Yang did not feel a sense of urgency in training, but now that he was in the Heaven Realm, there were too many Heaven-ranked rankers, and the real powerful ones had not appeared yet. In order to improve faster, Yu Yang did not mind using more treasures to improve himself. Furthermore, if he did not use the energy of the sky crystal, it would be a waste of resources. Forget about the sky crystal. Even the sky red crystal and other materials had a small increase in strength. If it was used on some quasi-heaven-ranked beasts, it would definitely be helpful. Half an hour passed. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others who were waiting in the stone passage finally saw Yu Yang coming out. He was holding a holy treasure chest with one hand. The aura on it made them instantly understand that this was the original form of the stingy ghost grimoire. They did not expect that after shrinking, it would actually be an ugly-looking big chest. Hui Tai Lang, the chest is yours to keep. Yu Yang passed the stingy ghost grimoire to Hui Tai Lang. Meow. Hui Tai Lang was pleased and took it with his but swaying. Also, Master Hai, this key is yours to keep. Yu Yang passed another key to Fatty Hai. Fatty Hai was so happy that he almost went crazy. He took the key and kissed it fiercely. He then gave Yi Kong a look that said, "Did you see this key? Quickly envy me. Quickly be jealous of me." Yi Kong sent him flying with a kick, causing Fatty Hai to fall onto the stone wall like a fly that had been slapped to death. Neo Jin looked at Fatty Hai with incomparable envy. He knew that he had just surrendered and was not qualified enough. If he was loyal enough, a master like the Yu clan's third young master would definitely give him the key in the future. He secretly clenched his fist. He must learn from Fatty Hai and become the holder of the key to the treasure house. Neo Jin, this is yours. Yu Yang still had a key in his hand. Neo Jin was stunned at first, but then he was so moved that tears streamed down his face. Following such a master, he really had no regrets even if he died. He did not expect that he would be trusted so much after he had just surrendered and had not made any major contributions. Neo Jin blankly received the key. He was so moved that he could not say a word. His teeth were chattering and his lips were trembling nonstop. Yu Yang lightly patted his shoulder. "I will leave the matter of the treasure house to you and Master Hai. Do a good job." Neo Jin's tears immediately flowed down. Bean-sized tears fell one by one onto the rune key that he had just created. When he raised his head again, he realized that Yu Yang had already walked far away. He could only see his back. Neo Jin bit his lips hard, trying his best not to sob. A warrior would die for his bosom friend. Now he finally understood this feeling. Chapter 721. After leaving Black Wind City, which was renamed as Nightless City, Yu Yang brought everyone back to Tong Tian Tower. Although Yi Kong and Fatty Hai couldn't wait to try their skills in the Guangming continent. After returning from the Heaven Realm, they felt that their combat power had improved by leaps and bounds and wanted to prove themselves in the Guangming continent. But Yi Yang didn't think so. Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's progress was undoubtedly very fast. The question was whether they could sweep through Tong Tian Tower. The answer was absolutely no. Not to mention Shun Tian, the Black Prince and the Thousand Goblins sect leader, these powerful innate rankers, even Chong Ni and Shark King, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were no match for them. Shun Tian, the Black Prince, and the Thousand Goblin sect leader were different from the quasi-heaven rank magical beasts in the Heaven Realm. They all had summoning grimoires, unique talents, and guardian war beasts. Although this kind of strength wasn't as strong as a Heaven Stage ranker, it won in terms of foundation and strength. If a Heaven Stage ranker was a 10-story building, then Shun Tian, Black Prince, and the others were 8-story castles. Although they weren't as tall, they definitely couldn't be underestimated. Except for the two of them who had comprehended the Divine Sense Domain, Holy Power Domain, Prison Emperor Divine Seal, and Prison Emperor Divine Sword, Shui Wuxia, and Princess Sisai. Even City Mistress Fallen Flowers, who had Nirvana Sunflower of Heaven Stage Level 5, Yu Yang wasn't 100% sure that she could kill Shun Tian. Except for the three of them, it would be difficult for others to defeat Shun Tian, Black Prince, and the others, let alone kill them. Shun Tian's 5 transformations power, as well as his diamond-ranked Level 9 Guardian Beast Emperor, which was proficient in battle techniques and had extraordinary intelligence, were not to be trifled with. Even among the Heaven-ranked rankers, there were not many rankers who had diamond-ranked beasts. Diamond-ranked war beasts weren't necessarily very powerful, but their potential was undoubtedly extraordinary. The innate rankers of Tong Tian Tower were definitely not the same level as the Earth rank rankers in Heaven Realm. They could be compared to the same level. If a Heaven Realm Earth rank level 6 ranker were to meet an innate level 6 ranker in Tong Tian Tower who possessed a grimoire and had comprehended a domain of power, he would most likely be killed on the spot. The higher the level, the greater the difference between an Earth rank and an innate. Look at you guys. You just went to the Heaven Realm for a stroll, and you're still so arrogant? The old cunning fox sternly reprimanded his disciples. In terms of levels, he was already inferior to Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others. However, he definitely had the qualifications to be their teacher. In another 10 years, even if Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's strength far surpassed the old cunning fox's, they still wouldn't be able to reach the level where the old cunning fox had reached in all aspects. As for Elder Nangong, he wasn't someone that Yi Kong and Fatty Hai could surpass in a short period of time. Yi Kong and Fatty Hai might be able to surpass them in terms of combat power, but when it came to knowledge, skills, beasts, treasures, pills, runes, history, and so on, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were still considered as novice apprentices. Yu Yang waited for the old cunning fox and the others to give him some encouragement. After all, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's rapid progress had been achieved through a lot of blood and sweat, so it was worthy of recognition. Previously, when he was chasing after Wugua and Gu Deng, Yu Yang had harvested a large pile of spoils of war. After that, he had comprehended the creation domain in the gate of life and death. He had schemed against the Captain Wild Bull first, then dealt with the master of Black Wind City, Old Demon Wei, sect leader by Song, and the others. The spoils of war were innumerable. According to the original plan, Yu Yang decided to think of a way to give it to everyone to improve. For example, Xuetan Lang, who was the strongest, wanted to get a Heaven Stage war beast to increase his fighting strength. Xuetan Lang, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and Prince of Tianluo were all the main forces, especially the first three. Yu Yang decided to let them take care of Shun Tian, the Black Prince, and the Thousand Goblin sect leader. This was also the reason why Yu Yang hadn't secretly killed Shun Tian and the others. Yi Kong, other than contracting the Earthquake Dragon's egg that was spat out after the Earthquake Dragon's death, Yu Yang had also fused the Earth Demon Bear's Heaven Stage Magic Crystal with the King Kong Demon Ape, raising Yi Kong, this powerful beast, to Quasi-Heaven Stage. Although it wasn't easy to rise to Heaven Stage all of a sudden, as long as he continued to improve, he believed that it wouldn't be a problem for the King Kong Demon Ape to rise to Heaven Stage. As for turning into a holy beast, that was impossible. With the Quasi-Heaven Stage King Kong Demon Ape, the Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle, and the Earthquake Dragon that had the potential to grow to at least Heaven Stage Level 3 in the future, Yi Kong didn't need to worry about the war beast's fighting strength in the short term. Compared to Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, only stronger, not weaker. His King Kong Rhinoceros, Little Hippopotamus, and Thunder Mammoth, Yu Yang had used the blood of the Maha Elephant, which was equivalent to Heaven Stage Level 5, to increase their strength. Originally, King Kong Rhinoceros and Little Hippopotamus levels weren't high enough, so they leveled up a little slower. However, because the Thunder Mammoth was mature and had the same kind of Heaven Stage blood, it benefited the most. It directly rose to Quasi-Heaven Stage, surpassing King Kong Rhinoceros and the incomparably intelligent Wind Breath Seabird, becoming Fatty High's strongest war beast, causing Fatty High's fighting strength to immediately double. The Lee brothers' Griffin Knights were humanoid guardian war beasts, so it was difficult to fuse with them. However, after experimenting, Yu Yang discovered that the human-faced Manticore could be fused with it. After spending a lot of effort, he finally raised the two Griffin Knights to the equivalent of Earth Stage Level 7. Because of the problem of intelligence and growth, these two humanoid guardian war beasts, who had fused with the Manticore and Griffin, would probably never be able to become a holy beast. However, the Lee brothers didn't care. They didn't even have a summoning grimoire, and were about to starve to death on the first floor of Tong Tian Tower. Everything they had today was given to them by Yu Yang. They were already satisfied. The fusion of Prince of Tian Luo's Skyfire Meteor and Flying Stone Demon. It was unexpectedly smooth. What made Fatty High envious and jealous the most was that Prince of Tian Luo's Skyfire Meteor had transformed into a flaming winged heavenly demon and directly leveled up to Heaven Stage. He was the first person in the whole team to have a Heaven Stage Guardian War Beast. Good luck, good luck. Fatty High was so regretful that he beat his chest and stamped his feet. If I had known earlier, I would have used my own money to treat everyone to drinks every day. I wouldn't have used the prince's money. I didn't think that his good luck was accumulated by me. When everyone heard this, they were overjoyed. Lu Yi, Bao Er, and the others even expressed that they wanted to put their money pouches in his hands, just like how Prince of Tian Luo had done to accumulate good luck. Fatty High was so scared that his face turned pale. He hurriedly waved his hands, indicating that he wouldn't dare to do it again. The Wind Breath Seabird is also not bad, but we don't have a suitable Heaven Stage War Beast's magic crystal. Otherwise, it would definitely be a Heaven Stage, and it would definitely become a holy beast in the future. Yu Yang had seen many smart war beasts, but one like the Wind Breath Seabird was truly a unique exception. Baby, when will it be your turn to show off? Fatty High really looked forward to the day when the Wind Breath Seabird turned into a beauty. Pah! The Wind Breath Seabird flapped his wings. Only this lecherous look made it obvious that this fatty was fantasizing about something bad. He was simply asking for a beating. Fatty High had already been abused by it so many times that his skin was thick. Even after being beaten, he was completely fine. Because of the Lion King Valley, 2 quasi-heaven stage male fire lions were killed on the spot, as well as a group of lionesses and an old Lion King. Yu Yang had obtained the most fire magic crystals. Like Yin Pejun, Feng Qisha, and the others, they all had great gains. Their beasts had leveled up one after another. The Oxhead, Li Ao, tactfully rejected the Oxhead battle axe. At the same time, he gave the battle axe and the gold belt to Fan Huatai, who had improved even more. Among the many spoils of war, he chose a long-handled earth-splitting axe. Although it was not as good as the Oxhead battle axe and the gold belt, it was still a gold-ranked treasure. After finishing the advancement of everyone in the team, he gave the old Lion King and the flaming Lion King 2 Lion King's hearts to the golden flaming lion. In view of its intelligence and potential, Yu Yang even gave it a name for the first time. His name was Simba. Grey Wolf congratulated his new, strongest subordinate and patted the golden flaming lion's shoulder with his claws. He looked like a boss who thought highly of him. Simba, who had just been named, hurriedly bowed his head to express his gratitude. With the Lion King's heart of the 2 Lion Kings, the golden flaming lion was at least at the 2nd level of Heaven Stage. If he absorbed it better, he might even be able to advance to the 3rd level of Heaven Stage. My head hurts. The most difficult to fuse, but also the combination that Yu Yang wanted to see succeed the most, was the combination of Xue Tanlang's Guardian War Beast, the Storm Giant, and a Heaven Stage Level 1 Thunder Beast. If it mutated into a Wind Thunder Beast, Yang wouldn't have to worry about it for 3 days and 3 nights. But how could he do both at the same time? It required both the Elemental Storm Giant's ability and the Thunder Beast's ability. How could he perfectly combine the two? The most important thing was how to make the two fused war beasts mutate in the best direction and turn them into intelligent guardian war beasts. This was the most difficult thing. It doesn't matter if I can't succeed for the time being. Shui Tianlang didn't want his own matters to affect Yu Yang. If your two main types of war beasts can be compatible, it will be very important for our future research. Princess Sisai told Shui Tianlang not to cause trouble. Maybe we can think of a way to improve his talent. Shui Wuxia also tried her best. In the end, she had a flash of inspiration when she was reading the book. She didn't know if it was the revelation of the Book of Truth or her own inspiration. She closed the Book of Truth and walked in front of Yu Yang with a little excitement. That's right. When Yu Yang heard this, it was as if he had seen the sun. Shui Tianlang had a unique talent called releasing talent. Usually because Shui Tianlang often manipulated snowstorms to sweep the entire battlefield, the enemy would usually think that this kid had the storm talent. But in reality, it was not like that at all. Shui Tianlang had a very strange releasing talent. To those who were familiar with him, Shui Tianlang's talent was not bad, but this talent was useless. Releasing talent. When the owner uses this talent, he must fully comprehend and release his own energy from the inside out. The more thorough the comprehension, the higher the talent. On the battlefield, if the enemy is placed in a controllable energy, the more thorough the release, the more powerful the talent will be on the enemy. Currently, his talent is level 3. For a cool Ice Cube guy, who would expect him to be like a gossipy woman telling the enemy how to release his energy and how to attack the enemy. That was simply unrealistic. Even though he had been training since he was young and comprehending his own energy every day, Shui Tianlang's talent level was still very low at level 3. If it was Fatty Hai who had this releasing talent, he would probably have reached level 10 in less than a year. Unfortunately, the owner of the releasing talent was Shui Tianlang, a guy who would not speak for a day and only immerse himself in training. It had to be said that this was a tragedy. Memorize this Heaven Realm, Strange News record, and read it to everyone once a day. Yu Yang gave Shui Tianlang a task. Shui Tianlang, who was not afraid of anything, suddenly changed his expression. Chapter 722. Everyone had different personalities. It was impossible to expect Shui Tianlang to become a blabbermouth like Fatty Hai. However, Yu Yang's actions could also give him some pressure. If it was in the past, it would be harder for Shui Tianlang to read the Heaven Realm Strange Stories record in public than to kill him. Now, when Yu Yang gave him this task, although Shui Tianlang's expression changed, he did not refuse. After so many battles, especially the trip to Heaven Realm, Shui Tianlang was greatly shocked. If he did not become stronger soon, then not only himself, but the whole team would be buried with a disastrous, hidden danger. As the team's key training target, Shui Tianlang had the obligation to bear more responsibilities. After improving the team's strength, Yu Yang shifted the focus of improvement to his own war beasts. Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and City Mistress Fallen Flowers brought An, Yu Bing, and the others to the gate of life and death to train. Raging Flame Leader and Drunken Cat also followed. Beside Yu Yang, only Yu Yu and Sickly Beauty were left. The two girls rejected the god's blood that Yu Yang had refined from the Maha Elephant. Although the god's blood could make their physique soar, the two girls rejected the god's blood on the grounds that they were not the main fighting force. Yu Yang secretly sighed at the two girls' attitude. If he was a little stronger, he might as well use his blood to improve their physique. Now, Yu Yang was sure that his blood had a potential similar to the god's blood. This was something that no one in the Soaring Dragon continent had. It was a unique physique that was unique to a guy from another world. Maybe it was the old Taoist trick. Maybe it was because he had cultivated the innate invisible sword chi. Maybe it was because he had fused with the small Qian Kuan bag. Maybe it was all three. No matter what, Yu Yang now knew that his blood was different. Moreover, the stronger he was, the greater the energy contained in his blood. Perhaps when he ascended to the divine exalt realm, the blood he shed would be as powerful as the god blood. God's blood. Red. I'll give you an upgrade this time. Yeong thought about the use of this drop of God's blood for a long time. Should he give it to the golden crown, thorny flower queen duo, who had the greatest potential and the most value in grooming? Or hornless dragon Jiang Ing, who had just received the inheritance of the supreme dragon god? If it was given to one of them, he believed that the improvement would undoubtedly be the greatest. However, the two girls were still in a deep sleep to evolve. Duo was fine. If she was in danger, she would come out to fight. Jiang Ing, on the other hand, was in a chaotic state, fusing with the supreme dragon god's inherited power. Of course, the easiest target to improve was little Wen Li. However, this little Lamia lowly had already disregarded the god's blood before this. Her parents were Yu Yang and Her Majesty Empress Fei Wen Li. The god's blood that other people yearned for was nothing to her. Whether it was the bloody Queen Red or the barbarian Cow Shadow on Man, in Yu Yang's eyes, they were all equal. The spirit of heaven fire and the Reaper Mantis were still lacking. It seemed that it was too early to improve the god's blood. Previously, IK used the best treasures, the god's blood and Yu Yang's own blood, to combine into a battle angel that even Yu Yang could not determine to what extent it would grow. She was born with a grimoire, only slightly inferior to little Wen Li, who was born with a diamond grimoire and the 4 great guardian war beasts. It definitely did not need the god's blood to improve anymore. If possible, when Yu Yang improved, he could continue to use his own blood to help her grow. The war god attendant and Feather, the 2 dragon ladies' training methods were different from others. Moreover, a drop of God's blood was inseparable. So in the end, Yu Yang still decided to improve the strength of either Red or Aman. In terms of battles, other than little Wen Li, Red and Aman had participated in the most battles. They participated in almost every battle and made great contributions. Step by step, they improved until now. They were completely qualified to give the god's blood to any one of them. After pondering for a while, Yu Yang finally decided to lift the bloody Queen Red with the god's blood. After all, Aman had Titan's power and Heart of Earth. As long as she stood on the ground, she would always be an invincible war goddess. Bloody Queen Red. If Yu Yang was in Tong Tian Tower, she could resist almost any enemy. However, in the Heaven Realm, Bloody Queen Red's strength was slightly insufficient, and it was gradually becoming more and more strenuous. And this was because she did not meet any strong enemies. If the enemy was above Heaven Stage Level 6, then it would be even more strenuous. Really? Bloody Queen Red could not believe her ears, her small face full of astonishment. That's right. Yu Yang gave her an affirmation. Wah wah wah. Bloody Queen Red was like a happy child, rushing up to the sky and flying everywhere. After a long time, she swooped down again, hugged Yu Yang, and gave him an excited kiss. After the kiss, she unconsciously flew to Aman to report the good news. Aman, Master said that this time the god's blood will help me level up. Haha, I will surpass you in the future. Yes, fortunately, Aman did not have the jealousy of human women, otherwise she would have vomited blood in anger. God's blood had already been given to you, and you still want to show off? Actually, Bloody Queen Red did not have any thoughts of showing off. It was just a very simple feeling of sharing happiness with a friend. Because she usually cooperated with Aman the most and was the closest, she would always be the first to tell her good news. Aman was even more happy for her and danced with joy. If it was a human woman, even if she did not fight with her, she would probably curse in her heart. What was she so proud of? Wasn't it just a drop of God's blood? No matter how high a beast's intelligence or EQ was, it would be difficult for them to be as complex as humans. Moreover, the growth of their personalities was greatly influenced by the environment their master was in. If the women around Yu Yang, if Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxiao were to fight and scheme against each other every day, then Red, Aman, Duo, and the others would definitely be influenced and become bad. But the problem was that Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia lived in harmony and united against outsiders. Therefore, the growth of the beast's personalities would also be influenced, especially the most meticulous sickly beauty, who often set an example. Sometimes, she would personally cook or cut clothes. She would also ask Red, a man, and the others to help. In daily life, she used her actions to teach these beasts the growth of wisdom and humanity. Only then would they be able to grow well. To Red, a man, and the others, sickly beauty was more like a mistress. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai spent too much time training. The person who they spent the most time with was sickly beauty, who was by Yu Yang's side. This gentle little wife was the best example for them to learn from. Although they did not say it out, Red, a man, and the others definitely wanted to become a woman like sickly beauty in their hearts. Sickly beauty was studying runes while cooking. She brought the dishes to Yu Yang and watched him happily pick up the chopsticks and eat heartily. Sickly beauty brought a basin of water to Yu Yang, who was sleeping soundly after the experiment. She gently wiped his body and feet. Sickly beauty helped Yu Yang dress up from head to toe before he went out. Sickly beauty took a silk handkerchief and gently wiped the sweat off his forehead. Red, a man, and the others saw everything that happened and remembered it in their hearts. It could be said that the person who had the greatest influence on Red, a man, and Duo was sickly beauty, who usually smiled gently and quietly at everything she did. Look at how happy you are. Sickly beauty patted Red's vest and smiled tolerantly at Red, who threw herself into her arms. She was simply like a little mother. Although Red and Aman were taller than her, sometimes they were like her two daughters. If it wasn't for the frequent changes in the war and the fact that Yu Yang could not be distracted, and everyone felt that it was best not to have a baby for the time being, when the war came to an end, when Yu Yang stepped into the Holy Supreme realm, maybe the baby born at that time would have more potential. Sickly beauty really wanted a baby. Of course, this wish could not be fulfilled for the time being. Sickly beauty gently spread this motherly love to everyone who needed to be taken care of, whether it was little girls like Bing Er, Shuang Er, and Little Wen Li, or big sisters like Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers, or guardian beasts like Red and Aman. You also want God's blood? No way. The current star Scorpion found that following Yu Yang was very promising. It was already a little tempted. Especially with the successful addition of Simba, it had reduced its worries. Creek, the star Scorpion, was intelligent, but it could not speak. It was unable to express its thoughts and was rather depressed. Yu Yang was naturally a rare commodity, so he was not in a hurry to contract it. He did not even mention the matter of fusing the star Scorpion with the Scorpion glove and turning it into a beast-shaped divine weapon. Fortunately, Yu Yang did not make the star Scorpion feel despair. He gave the steel-toothed sand spider, which had been poisoned by scorpion poison, and Gu Deng's golden leg, to the star Scorpion to absorb energy. In the past, the star Scorpion would definitely not dare to easily accept food from Yu Yang, but now it was different. It was eager to establish a friendly relationship with Yu Yang. As for the golden steel-toothed sand spider and Gu Deng's golden leg, it happily accepted. Besides, these two things were also extremely helpful to its improvement. If it still hesitated now, it would be an idiot. The excited, bloody Queen Red, with great difficulty, endured until night. The fusion ceremony officially began. Yu Yang used the Nirvana flame to repeatedly purify the god's blood, turning it into a pure god's blood without any divine sense. First, Yu Yang drew heaven rune circles on Red's snow-white body after she took off her clothes, so that she could better absorb the god's blood. Yu Yang even used his own blood to draw 3 ancient rune circles on the 3 most important places: the navel, the heart, and the space between the eyebrows. The abilities of the 3 ancient runes were Wonder, Origin Power, and Spiritual Root. Yu Yang hoped to use the god's blood to improve Red, but the biggest aspect was not combat power. Instead, it was true rebirth, true transformation. He hoped that in the future, she could also be like Little Wen Li, aka Jiang Ying, and Hui Tai Lang, on a grimoire and become the closest divine beast to a human. Even if it was just a bronze grimoire, her future path of growth would be completely different. Mystical magic could allow Red to have a more intelligent mind. Source energy could allow Red to have a more perfect body, and spirit root was the foundation of everything. It would increase her potential, increase the possibility of contracting a grimoire, and give her the qualifications to become a divine beast. Are you ready? Yu Yang held the golden god's blood in his palm and asked the nervous, bloody Queen Red softly. Yes. Although her heart was beating like a deer, Red still nodded firmly. Her nervousness was not all because of shyness. She was indeed a little shy to be exposed naked in front of her master. Her nervousness was not all because of excitement. After fusing with the god's blood, she was reborn and changed her life. It was impossible for her not to be excited. However, what made her most nervous was the changes in the future. She was worried that her improvement would not be as good as her master expected, that she would not be able to contract a grimoire, that she would not be able to become a divine beast, and that she would disappoint her master. However, she did not run away. On the contrary, she resolutely accepted her master's gift and challenged her own fate. When Yu Yang dripped the drop of golden god's blood into her mouth, Red closed her eyes and clasped her hands in front of her chest. At this moment, there was only one thought left in her mind. God, please turn me into what Master wants. I want to become a person, a woman like Mistress Wu Hen. I want to be like Mistress Wu Hen and stay by his side forever. Chapter 723. An unimaginably huge energy burst out from her body. Red had a feeling that her body was about to explode and her soul was about to be annihilated under this kind of energy. Even a drop of God's blood was not something that an ordinary body could withstand. When Red's consciousness was about to disappear, she suddenly felt that her body was light, as if she was floating in a starry night sky. Several huge galaxies that looked like whirlpools were rotating slowly, producing various kinds of gravitational forces that slightly released the destructive energy in her body and greatly relieved the internal pressure. Especially the three biggest whirlpools, which were constantly absorbing the explosive god's blood energy in her body. Was this an illusion? She should be in her master's arms. How could she float in the sky? While her consciousness was wandering in confusion, she suddenly felt an incomparably warm energy flowing in her body unstoppably, guiding the god's blood energy that was so full that it was almost going to explode to every part of her body. First, it went to her meridians, bones, flesh, and skin. Then it went deep into the space that was even thinner than the smallest blood vessels. It guided a small part of the god's blood energy and allowed this energy to fuse with her body, causing her body to change qualitatively under the cleansing of the god's power. Then, it went to the depths of her soul consciousness. The warm energy guided the energy of the god's blood to the starry night sky. The energy connected the few whirlpools, making them rotate faster, absorbing and assimilating the god's blood energy. In the end, with the three great whirlpool galaxies as the first foundation, the energy of the god's blood formed an incomparably huge and resplendent star core. That kind of profoundness was indescribable. It felt as if the universe had been born in his consciousness. At the connection point of this bright star core, there were three big whirlpools, each representing a different will. When Red's consciousness touched the will of the three whirlpools, she instantly felt dizzy. Then, she realized that her consciousness had retreated from the wonderful night sky. She could no longer return to that wonderful state. When she opened her eyes, she realized that she didn't float into the night sky, but she was floating in front of her master, her whole body radiating brilliance. On her body, there were three big and small ancient runic circles and heaven runic circles, which were shining brightly, giving her a very familiar feeling. That's right, these were the whirlpools that appeared in the night sky. The three ancient rune circles between the eyebrows, the heart, and the navel represented the wonders, the origin energy, and the spirit root. They were the eternal wills that were born from the three ancient rune circles. Red suddenly understood. The warm energy that had saved him had come from his master's paw. It was the Jinchi within his body. Don't sleep. Comprehend it well. While the god's blood is reconstructing your body, you have to further improve your abilities. Now is the best time to temper yourself. Once you pass this stage, you'll truly be reborn and become a new you. Yu Yang warned Red softly. Yes. Red was very tired now. She wasn't this tired even during the usual battles. However, she gritted her teeth and kept Yu Yang's words in mind. For his future, in order to live up to his master's expectations, in order to transform into a new self. Fight, fight. She tried her best to open her arms and hugged Yu Yang tightly. The original special abilities such as Whip of Agony, Banshee Scream, Sheep Transformation, and Flame Feather appeared in her mind one by one. Then, she was guided by Yu Yang's energy and tempered with his divine power. No matter how tired she was, no matter how painful it was, no matter how difficult it was, Red gritted her teeth and persevered. For a new self, to become someone like Mistress Wuhan, to possess the summoning grimoire that he wanted to see the most, time passed silently, bit by bit. The rebirth process of the god's blood continued. Red couldn't remember how much pain she had suffered in the process. She also couldn't remember how many times she almost fell into a deep sleep because she couldn't persevere anymore. However, as long as she could still feel the pure energy from her master, she would persevere forever and never give up. She knew that he was actually more tired than she was. She didn't have to do anything. She just had to cooperate with him with her consciousness. He was the one who reconstructed her body. He was the one who gave her everything. From the beginning to the end, his energy never stopped. His sweat also never stopped dripping on her body. He didn't stop because he was tired. He didn't give up because of the difficulty. How could she let him down? I want to become a human and stay by my master's side forever. I want to contract the summoning grimoire and become the Red that master is most proud of. He used his blood to paint the summoning grimoire over and over again. Even if the grimoire had already absorbed his blood, he still patiently waited for her to contract it. How could she give up? I want to become a human. Contract. Bloody Queen Red let out a banshee scream that shook the souls of all living things. She spat out a mouthful of golden blood towards the bronze grimoire in Yu Yang's hands. At the same time, she forced herself to use her trembling hands to press on the bronze grimoire, until she saw the golden light of the successful contract slowly flowing out from the gaps of her fingers. More and more. Only then did she close her eyes proudly. 2 drops of tears quickly slid down her face and gently fell on Yu Yang's sweaty arms. Red pressed one hand on the summoning grimoire and kissed Yu Yang's lips without caring about anything else. She couldn't express the excitement in her heart. She could only use her tearful kiss to silently express her pride. She did it. She finally did what he had expected of her. From today onwards, she would also be a divine beast. She would be the closest life form to a human. She would be a woman close to Mistress Wuhan. Finally, she had the qualifications to stay by his side forever. She had the qualifications to do everything for him like Mistress Wuhan. Amidst the resplendent brilliance, the wings on her back fell off one by one. They drifted away. In the end, they turned into energy and returned to her back. After the contract and the passionate kiss, Red, who was tired and sleeping, didn't know anything. In her deep sleep, she, the Bloody Queen, had truly taken a step towards a higher life form. This step was to enter the ranks of divine beasts. Moreover, she was a high-level divine beast that was perfect as a human. When Red woke up for the second time, she found that Yu Yang was no longer by her side. The sky was almost dawn. She didn't have time to check her summoning grimoire, talent, and guardian war beast. After sensing Yu Yang's aura, she immediately flew over. Almost in a flash, the speed was so fast that even Red, who had always been known for her speed, was surprised. At this time, the scene she saw was similar to usual. It was sickly Beauty, the mistress, who gently massaged her exhausted and sleeping master, while wiping his sweat with water. The only difference from usual was that today, he was tired because of her. Usually it was for IKA or refining the supreme grade martial spirit pill, and so on. Sure. Sickly Beauty, as usual, signaled Red to be quiet, so as not to wake up Yu Yang. And Red was so excited that she pressed her cherry lips, looking at her master, who was so tired that he didn't even have time to wash up and fall asleep. For the first time, her heart was moved. Tears were like opening a floodgate, crashing down. She was definitely not a person who liked to cry, let alone a coward. This was just because she was too moved. Sickly Beauty motioned for Red to come over and replace her, and then looked at Red inquiringly, as if asking, "Can you?" Usually, Red always shook her head shyly. She liked a master like Yu Yang, but to take over the position of the mistress and serve him, she was always a little lacking in confidence. Today, seeing the slightly encouraging eyes of the mistress for the first time, she approached the silk handkerchief in Sickly Beauty's hand and gave the mistress a firm nod. "Leave it to me." Looking at Yu Yang's quiet expression in his sleep, Red cried and laughed for a moment, crying because she was moved, laughing because of happiness. For the first time, she felt that she was a woman who loved him, not just as guardian war beast. She had been reborn and had become a human. Now, there should be no problem in pursuing her own happiness, right? For the master who gave her everything, for the master who had been silently in love with her for a long time, couldn't she have enough confidence? To love him, to accompany him for a lifetime, just like Mistress Wu Hen. Sickly Beauty gently hugged the emotional Red, and then left with a peace of mind. Red sat down by the water, picked up the silk handkerchief, and, just like Sickly Beauty, gently wiped the sweat off his body. The next day, when Yu Yang slowly opened his eyes, he realized that the snow-white body in his arms was not Sickly Beauty, but a strange yet familiar beauty. Red? She actually slept on his bed, and she was completely naked? Yu Yang was a little sweaty because of her bold move, and was about to get up quietly. Suddenly, Red, who felt a strange movement on her body, also woke up from her sweet dream. When she saw Yu Yang, she did not leave shyly like she usually did. Instead, she opened her arms and bravely hugged his body, using her fiery body to get close to him. Suppressing her shyness and nervousness, she said in his ear, "I want to serve you like Mistress Wu Hen." "Where's Wu Hen?" Yu Yang was a little stunned. Mistress Wu Hen asked Red to replace her. Red did not do well, but she will definitely work hard. Just like how Sickly Beauty usually served Yu Yang, Red trembled slightly as she imitated Mistress Wu Hen's gentle actions. Human and beast? Could the current Red still be considered a beast? She was even more of a woman than a woman. To say that she was a beast would be blind. Since she was not a beast, but a woman, why couldn't she push her down? Sigh. Forget it. This kind of trouble was simply unnecessary. When a flower blooms, it must be plucked. When a flower blooms, it must be plucked. Letting down a beauty's grace was something only a Taoist protector would do. Yu Yang's mind was muddled for a second. Am I a Taoist protector? No. Then can I do such a foolish thing? Of course not. He suddenly understood. He reached out and caressed Red, who was clumsily using her tongue to serve him. When she looked up shyly, he smiled evilly and asked, "Do you want to improve your fighting skills? Come, let me teach you." Chapter 724. After leveling up to a divine beast, Red's strength was much stronger than before. When she summoned her grimoire, she didn't even know that she had a silver grimoire. Even the Sickly Beauty and Yu curiously peeked over to look at Red's inherent skill and guardian beast. A man was the most envious. Although she had the power to defeat a heaven-ranked ranker, she still hoped to be like Red and become a divine beast. In future battles, she would help her master defeat more powerful enemies. Battle Feather Inherent Skill. Changing different battle feathers during battle to unleash different elemental powers. The fastest time to change is 1 hour. The longest battle feathers can last is 1 day. Current Inherent Skill level, Level 1. My wings. Only now did Red realize that her wings had disappeared. Didn't you realize it? Sickly Beauty and Yu were amused by her. Say it in silence. Yu Yang gave Red a hint. When Hong retracted her state of mind, countless rays of light naturally flickered around her body. Even more energy condensed behind her, forming many pure white and beautiful energy feathers. Among these pure white energy feathers, there was a soft silver feather on her left wing near her back. On her right wing, there was a brilliant gold feather. These two feathers should be the two types of battle feathers that she could currently change. Although Red couldn't change immediately, Yu Yang's Heaven Eyes divine vision could already see the truth. The pure white energy wings were of the light attribute. Other than being immune to dark negative curses, it also gave Red the fastest flying speed. The silver energy wings mainly increased her spiritual power. If she changed to silver battle feathers, then when Red used special skills like Banshee Scream, Whip of Agony, and Sheep Transformation, she would receive the greatest increase. Yu Yang couldn't estimate how much the increase would be because the silver battle feathers could only be changed after at least an hour. Also, during the process of leveling up to Divine Envoy, special skills like Banshee Scream, Whip of Agony, and Sheep Transformation would also have different changes. The golden battle feathers were the most direct increase. It could increase her entire combat power. On Yu Yang's summoning grimoire, Red's image was very different from before. She was originally the Bloody Queen's Red, but now she had become a bloody goddess, half-awakened. Other than Banshee's Scream, Whip of Agony, and Sheep Transformation, Red also had two more special skills, Divine Speed and Sky Feather. Divine Speed, as the name suggested, meant that her flying speed was greatly increased. As for Sky Feather, it had the ability to convert energy into battle feathers during battle. It was a special skill that resonated with his talent. The most mysterious thing was that she could share this Zhanyu state with Yu Yang after the transformation. Out of all the special skills, only the Whip of Agony could be shared with Yu Yang. Now, there was also Zhanyu. The only difference was that Yu Yang couldn't be like her. Red, who was half-awakened goddess, but up. Although she did not have the power like a true goddess envoy, her have-up, she had an envoy now. Half. Her Banshee Scream and Whip of Agony had reached the realm of God's power that could harm souls. If she was fully awakened and became a goddess envoy, other than those who were far stronger than her, ordinary heaven rankers would tremble when they saw her. Let's see what your guardian beast is. Sickly beauty, and you were very curious. After Red became a goddess envoy and contracted a grimoire, what would her guardian beast be? Not to mention them. Even Red herself wanted to know the answer to this question immediately. When the grimoire flipped, the three girls squeezed their heads together and were a little stunned. What is it? Yu Yang asked with a smile. It doesn't look like a battle type. Red was a little speechless. She realized that this guardian beast was very different from the battle type beast she had hoped to get. Angel Dove, silver ranked level 3, special type beast, male and female peaceful life pair, does not have any combat power, good at flying, can instantly pass through space within a certain range, can teleport to a friendly target, can only teleport once a day, has special wings of light attribute, basic intelligence, special skills. 1,000 miles book transmission, Song of Peace. When Red summoned her guardian beasts, Yu Yang realized that they were just two white light messenger pigeons without a real body. His fingers could pass through their bodies. However, by doing so, they, who had basic intelligence, would show an unhappy expression in their round eyes, as if they were blaming Yu Yang for being hostile. However, when Yu Yang released innate chi from his fingers, they immediately felt the benefits of this pure energy. They flew up and down happily, and mischievously pecked his fingers with their red beaks to show their affection. The cheerful birds realized that their cooing sounds had an indescribable sense of peace, making people feel at ease, as if their souls had been cleansed. This should be the angel dove song of peace skill. It could dispel people's hostility. Of course, this song of peace wouldn't have much effect on people with strong wills and extremely stubborn personalities. It could only affect beasts with no intelligence. Not bad. Although they are not battle type, special type beasts have good special skills. In some important moments, they would be able to display miraculous effects. There are some things that you don't think are a lot, but if you don't have them, it would be a huge loss. Furthermore, it's very good that they have the ability to 1,000 miles book transmission. In the future, when there are more battles, our exchange of information will become more and more urgent. Just using the words tricolor map is really not enough. Of course, Yang wouldn't think that the angel dove was bad. On the contrary, he felt that this pair of angel doves were actually the best strategic beasts. There's no such thing as the worst beast, only the worst warrior. The angel dove is actually better than most strengthening type and element type beasts. Red, you have to train them well. Maybe in the future, we will need them to 1,000 miles book transmission when we have important information. Sickly Beauty also encouraged Red. Work hard. Yu gently caressed Red's tender cheeks. From now on, she didn't think of Red as a beast, but as a person. Red will definitely work hard. Red was a little shy, but also a little happy. Her eyes were unusually determined as she clenched her fists tightly and cheered herself on. Right now, she already had the best future. Of course, she had to work harder. Use the god-killing dagger or the black light in future battles. When Yang mentioned the black light, he suddenly had an idea. The black light was just a fake 5-color holy light. It wasn't a real one. The true black light of the 5-color divine light might still be in Zhou Zhao's hands. Other than the one in Zhou Zhao's hands, there should be 3 other types of divine light. Were they? Just the green divine light alone had as many as 9 layers of seals. Furthermore, Yang could not easily remove the seals. He was deeply afraid that his grasp of the power of the ancient code would not be enough, causing it to be damaged in an unpredictable manner. One had to know that the green divine light of the 5-color divine light was in a broken state. Although the master of Black Wind City and Captain Wild Bull had many treasures, to Yu Yang, this abnormal transmigrator who had mastered Black Guate's song, White Shuanghua, and Red Knight, most of them were nothing to him. What Yu Yang wanted the most was a holy artifact or a divine weapon. Among them, he wanted to obtain the remaining 4 types of 5-color divine light the most. If he could gather all 5 types of 5-color divine light and fight against the Lion King, would he still need to worry about losing? Little San, you haven't been to the Southern Heaven Realm for a few days. You haven't appeared for too long. I'm afraid the situation has changed. You should go up and take a look in case something happens to Bao Gu, Niu Jin, and the others. Yu is the kindest. Seeing that Yu Yang had been busy in Rainbow Castle for the past few days, she told him to take care of the Black Wind City in the Southern Heaven Realm. Tonight, I still want to communicate with the Star Scorpion during the day. Yu Yang nodded. The Star Scorpion is indeed quite smart. Although it can't speak, I feel that it's much smarter than ordinary war beasts with elementary intelligence. Yu knew that her bad brother would definitely squeeze out the value of the Star Scorpion, otherwise he wouldn't raise it for nothing. Are you confident that you can complete the Earth Divine weapon now? Sickly Beauty knew that it was not easy to create an Earth Divine weapon. The Taotai blade from last time was a coincidence. Come and help in the afternoon. Yu Yang nodded slightly. For other war beasts, he was indeed not confident that he could turn them into Earth Divine weapons. However, the Star Scorpion was an exception. There were so many war beasts in the world. If Yang didn't trick them, why did he only love the Star Scorpion so much? It turned out that this Star Scorpion had the innate conditions to become a Beast Divine weapon. Not only did it have elementary intelligence, but its own attributes, body structure, potential fusion, and other aspects all met the conditions of a Beast Divine weapon. Most importantly, Yu Yang had obtained a pair of scorpion gloves as a reward from the Scorpion Palace. If he could use the scorpion gloves as a foundation and fuse it with the Star Scorpion, the chances of creating a high-grade Beast Divine weapon would be very high. Yu Yang did not lack mounts. He was good at teleportation and flying, and if he really wanted to be lazy, he could turn the Taotai blade into a beast form. That was the most suitable mount. He also did not lack weapons. Crescent Moon, Taotai blade, Killing God Kill, Dragon Slaying Spear, Dragon Slaying Dagger, Black Light, 5-color Divine Light green. He even had the Prison Emperor Divine Staff and the War God Guard Sisters. If he added the world-exterminating wheel, eternal wheel, star explosion, black Guade song, white Shuanghua, Qi Shao Yin, and Nirvana flame, he had countless weapons to attack. Yu Yang did not need to waste time to cultivate another Earth Divine weapon, but he felt that it was necessary to add a pair of Earth Divine weapon Scorpion gloves in addition to the Gemini mask. If he fused the Star Scorpion and the Scorpion gloves, it would become the Star Scorpion. Normally it would be a glove, but when needed, it would be a war beast. Wouldn't it be killing two birds with one stone? Contract? Don't worry, who am I? I will definitely give you the greatest freedom. Just like Hui Tai Lang, without a contract, you have your own will. Of course, you can't go against me. Learn from Hui Tai Lang, that's what you have to do. A beast-shaped Earth Divine weapon will be your final state, and it will also be a high-grade Earth Divine weapon with good potential, not the kind that will reach the limit once you fuse. Don't worry, I will only do it if there is value in cultivating it. Otherwise, why would I keep a beast with no potential by my side? Look at this Tao Tai blade. It is the Earth Divine weapon with the most potential. It can change between a beast and a weapon at any time. What are you worried about? You think I need a weapon? Wrong. I need a pair of gloves. That's right. Is there anything more suitable for you than the Scorpion gloves in this world? Absolutely not. After you fuse, in 2 years, as long as you perform well, I might even use the Wishing Dutchman's pipe that will never wither to help you increase your potential. All right, you have to understand how many powerful treasures I have. Don't worry, follow this third young master. You will definitely be able to eat and drink well. In the future, Hui Tai Lang will be your boss, and Simba will be your brother. Yu Yang once again used his conning skills. This time, he conned a unique scorpion, the Star Scorpion. Chapter 725. Master, Black Wind City has arrived. Do you want to reveal your name and have their city lord come out to welcome us? A personal guard captain riding a Heaven Stage Level 3 Infernal Nightmare gracefully stopped his flying mount from being escorted by a Heaven Stage Level 1 Flaming Demonic Horse. He retreated to the edge of a super luxurious carriage that was pulled by 8 snow-white dragons with the same skin color. Through the curtain that the beautiful slave girl raised slightly, he asked the nobleman inside with a very loyal and respectful expression. There's no need. There's news that something has happened in Black Wind City, and the city lord has changed his position. Send someone in to investigate. If the new city lord doesn't know about the previous Upper Realm trade, then we'll go directly to Silverleaf City. The nobleman in the carriage pondered for a moment before making a decision. Yes. Although the personal guard captain wanted to express his opinion, his master didn't ask. He knew that even if he had internal injuries, it would be best if he didn't speak. This personal guard captain with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 5 casually sent out a guard member with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 1. Let the other party enter the city as soon as possible and find the new city lord. Originally, he thought that the new city lord of Black Wind City would soon come down and kowtow to the master behind him in a panic, begging for forgiveness and fear. He had seen this kind of reaction many times. Almost no matter where the owner of this carriage was in the lower realms, the city lord would come out of the city in fear and kowtow to him. Although the master of the carriage rarely went out, he usually made a trip to the lower realms every 10 years. However, in the past 1,000 years, no Heaven Stage martial artist from the lower realms had ever disrespected him in the slightest. Along the way, there were countless city lords who bowed their heads to greet him. It was rare for the owner of the carriage to personally come out to meet him. It was impossible for a relatively barren and backward place like the Emerald Territory's Black Wind City to have a powerful Heaven Stage. But City Lord Rin, I hope that guy doesn't pee his pants when he sees his master. The personal guard captain imagined with a bit of bad taste. What he didn't expect was that not only did the new city lord make an exception and not personally come out to welcome him, he only sent a servant with the strength of Earth Stage Level 3. Seeing such an ant-like servant, the personal guard captain felt uncomfortable from the bottom of his heart. Even if he was a slave, he should have the awareness of being a slave. He actually had the nerve to shamelessly represent the city lord with such strength. Could it be that Black Wind City didn't have any talents to this extent? You can't even find a slave above Earth rank level 5. Could it be that the city lord here is a quasi-heaven rank? Could it be that when he saw a heaven-ranked guard, his legs would go weak and he would hide in the city lord's mansion, not daring to leave the city? The personal guard captain touched the mustache on his lips again and made a malicious guess. "Where is your city lord?" The guard captain looked at the representative of Black Wind City, who was only at the 3rd level of the Earth stage, as if he was looking at a bug. Black Wind City has undergone a great change some time ago and has been renamed Nightless City in memory of Master Refiner Jun Wei, who sacrificed himself for no reason before the war. The current Nightless City had become a free city, and there was no longer a city lord. This lowly one is lowly and lowly. Under the orders of Prince Longtongue of the Western Heaven Realm, I am temporarily the chief foreign affairs representative. The round-headed Baogu who came to welcome him stepped forward and saluted, replying in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. "Freedom City? You mean you're in charge of this place now?" The guard captain tried his best not to laugh out loud. An Earth Stage Level 3 servant didn't seem to be a combat type. Any random mercenary could easily kill this guy and take over Black Wind City. How could such a childish thing happen in the Heaven Realm? Could ants patrol the territory in place of the Lion King? It was impossible. The guard captain really wanted to tell the other party that any one of his subordinates would be a Heaven Stage powerhouse, and they would be able to take over this Black Wind City. Even if there was no one else, it was impossible for a weakling of the Earth Stage Level 3 to become the representative of a city, right? After spending a lot of effort to hold back his laughter, the guard captain asked in a teasing voice, "I really want to know, after you became the representative, did anyone in the city challenge you?" The round-head Baogu revealed a sincere smile. "Not yet. Perhaps it's because I usually have a good relationship with my neighbors. After I became the representative of Nightless City's foreign affairs, not only did everyone enthusiastically support me, they also often invited me over for a banquet. In addition to everything being the same as before the change, I also opened up a number of business transactions, truly encouraging and supporting my work in Nightless City." When he said this, the guard captain choked. It was even more uncomfortable than swallowing a mouse. If it weren't for the owner of the carriage looking at him, he would have drawn his sword and killed this arrogant ant who dared to speak to him. "Alchemist Master, Western Heaven Realm, Prince Longtongue." The noble master in the carriage was so smart that he could figure out a lot of things with just a few keywords. After some thought, the master of Mali suddenly became a little interested in this Black Wind City that he didn't care about at all. No, it should be Nightless City now. For the first time in hundreds of years, he asked a non-heaven stage servant. He respectfully bowed to the round-head Baogu and asked, "Excuse me, is your Prince Longtongue inside?" "Esteemed guest, His Royal Highness just returned from a trip a few days ago. He is currently bathing and changing his clothes, so he is unable to come and welcome you." The round-head Baogu replied politely, "Since he's here, I wonder if we can meet? It's been a long time since I've met the experts of the Western Heaven Realm in the lower realms." The owner of the carriage sighed. "Please, esteemed guest." The round-head Baogu respectfully made a pleased gesture. When the guard captain saw this, his lungs exploded with anger. What kind of status did his master have? The other party was just a small fry from the lower realms, a prince that he had never heard of, yet he wanted his master to personally meet him? Did that prince have the qualifications? This was simply the greatest disrespect. The guard captain placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. As long as his master wasn't happy, he would immediately draw his sword and kill this dog slave. Then, he would rush into the city and hang the head of that prince on the city gate as a warning to others. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to draw his sword, the owner of the carriage said, "Let's go." The guard captain almost thought that he had heard wrongly, of course. He absolutely did not dare to question the orders of the master in the carriage. That was a noble existence, and any order was not something that a servant like him could question. 8 snow dragon horses pulled the carriage and descended from the sky into the garden of the city lord's mansion. At this time, the guard captain had yet to see the prince come out to welcome him. On the other hand, the servant who called himself the Roundhead Bao Gu explained apologetically that the prince was bathing and was unable to come out to welcome him. He hoped that the esteemed guest would wait a little longer. If the captain of the guards were to explode with all his anger, it would definitely be more violent than a volcano eruption, and he could easily destroy the entire nightless city. However, the master of the carriage was waiting quietly without any expression, so he could only endure the humiliation and wait. 10 minutes later, a yawning shadow slowly walked out, as if he had just woken up. The guard captain glared at him angrily, wanted to see what kind of arrogant appearance this prince, who had brought him shame, looked like. He was destined to be disappointed, because what he saw was only a young human wearing a saint-level Gemini mask. It was impossible to see his true appearance. What drove the guard captain crazy the most was that this prince was only at the quasi-heaven rank. He was far inferior to any of his guards. How could a prince with that kind of strength dare to be so arrogant? Could it be that the Southern Heaven realm didn't even have a heaven stage expert? To let a quasi-heaven stage expert be so arrogant was simply the greatest insult to all heaven stage experts. I'm very sorry. I fell asleep because I was too comfortable in the bath. The person who came out was, of course, Yu Yang. Other than him, there was no other quasi-heaven stage warrior who could speak so casually in front of a group of heaven stage experts. Nonsense. It would have been better if he didn't listen to the explanation, but this kind of infuriating explanation made the guard captain want to strangle him to death. Prince Long Tongue is very lucky. This old man often suffers from insomnia because of mundane matters. I'm always envious of people who have sweet dreams. The owner of the carriage laughed. Esteemed guest is kind and magnanimous. May I know your name? I am Shui Wuxiang, a disciple of the Western Heaven Realm's Long Tongue sect. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, another beautiful figure walked out from inside. Her figure was extremely sexy and enchanting. Just one look at her would cause one's soul to tremble. It was hard to describe her as a wonderful person. In the guard captain's opinion, such a beauty should be paired with a powerful man like him. It would be a match made in heaven. However, he didn't expect this beauty with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 3 to not even look at him from the corner of her eyes. Instead, she stretched out her slender arms and held on to that guy with the strength of Quasi-Heaven Stage. It was as if she was afraid that if she let go, this bullshit prince would get rid of her. That kind of contrast between a swan and a toad made the guard captain want to vomit blood. Little liar, there's a guest here. Why don't you introduce him? That sexy and enchanting beauty smiled sweetly and joked with Yu Yang. The guard captain really wanted to beat his chest and break a few of his ribs. Only by doing that could he slightly relieve his depression. The handsome Heaven Stage Level 5 was right in front of her. She didn't even look at him. That trash who was only Quasi-Heaven Stage, yet she threw herself at him. How could she let him live? If she could smile at him like that bullshit prince, even if he was a star in the sky, he would still pluck it for her. The guard captain had always thought of himself as a romantic and unrestrained person who had never been touched by a single leaf. He never lacked beauties. As long as he stretched out his hand, countless women would flock to him, crying and shouting that they wanted to spend the rest of their lives with him. He didn't expect to meet such a beauty in this nightless city. She, who was as proud as a white swan, didn't even look at him from the corner of her eyes. Yet, she had a soft spot for a toad. How could this not make people vomit blood? How could this not make people jealous? Go away. This prince isn't very familiar with you. Yu Yang casually waved his hand and shook off the sexy and enchanting beauty. The guard captain's eyes twitched. If you're not familiar with me, then why did you jump into the pool when I was bathing? The sexy and enchanting beauty didn't mind at all. She only pretended to be angry and glared at him. It's definitely slander. A gentleman like me would never jump into the pool without the invitation of a beauty. I thought that you felt too lonely bathing alone, so you decided to be kind and go down to the pool to help me. I didn't think that you would look at me like this. I'm really disappointed." Yu Yong patted his chest, showing that he was a gentleman. The guard captain almost fell off his horse. He died on the spot. Was there a gentleman like him in this world? If it wasn't for the fact that the master in the carriage didn't say anything, he would have already chopped him with his sword. No, chopping him to death was too easy. He should have chopped him into pieces and fed them to the dogs. Moreover, even so, it was difficult to dispel the hatred in his heart. From the beginning to the end, this brat never looked at him in the eye. What right did he have? He was just a quasi-heaven ranker, yet he was so arrogant. He really didn't understand why the master could still endure it. Then I misunderstood you. The sexy and enchanting beauty covered her mouth to hide her laughter. She stopped fooling around with Yu Yang. She held back her laughter and bowed to the carriage by Liu Greets Sr. "We juniors don't know the rules and have neglected Senior. Please forgive us for being young and frivolous." Chapter 726. Ha! The master in the carriage laughed happily. "Little girl, do you know me? 100 years ago, my father used the cold ice jade to exchange for dragon marrow with Senior, and we were fated to meet. Of course, at that time, Bai LV was not born yet, but my father often mentioned the name of the patrol king to Bai LV. The enchanting beauty respectfully greeted the Senior in the carriage, and at the same time, glanced at Yu Yang with her beautiful big eyes, indicating that he should not stand carelessly. No matter what, he should look like a junior. "So it's the daughter of the original Emerald Lord by High. I've heard about your family, but the Emerald territory is not under my jurisdiction, and the Lionheart King and I are in different camps, so it's not convenient for me to ask about your family's affairs. Now that I see my old friend's daughter is still here, and growing up well, I'm really happy." The patrol king in the carriage sighed slightly, and then became happy again. "Although it's not convenient for me to ask about your affairs in the lower realm, if you have any urgent needs, you could trade with me and exchange goods." "Thank you, Senior." The enchanting beauty waved her hand slightly. "My family has fallen, and I have no more treasures to exchange with Senior. However, Bai LV can introduce someone to me. This is Prince Long Tongue from the Western Heaven Realm. He has gained a lot recently. Maybe he can take out something to trade with Senior." "Is that so?" The patrol king in the carriage asked Yu Yang. "I wonder what Prince Longting wants to exchange for. There are many things I want to exchange, but the question is, what do you want?" Yu Yang did not think that this patrol king would want ordinary things. "Actually, what I want is very simple. As long as it's rare and interesting, I'm interested. For example, spirit stones, heaven crystals, beast souls, summoning grimoires, ancient relics, fountain of youth, rune crystals, God's dew, God's wine, etc." The patrol king in the carriage gave a list of things to buy. After listening, Yu Yang was speechless. Not to mention that he did not have a lot of these things. Even if they filled up a few rainbow castles, he would not take them out to exchange. Among the items that the patrol king wanted to buy, Yu Yang only had summoning grimoire and God's Dew. Yu Yang had obtained the summoning grimoire from killing many innates in Tong Tian Tower, while the God's Dew was obtained from the 12 zodiac temples. There had been beast souls before, but they had long since been fused and upgraded. That was how the Taodai blade and the star Scorpio had come about. He also had heaven crystal. He had just obtained it from the stingy bastard's treasure trove, but this was an important item that Yu Yang wanted to use to become an innate paragon. It was impossible for him to bring it out to exchange with the other party. The Fountain of Youth was an extremely rare alchemy item, whether it was the martial spirit pill or the martial god pill. It was all a catalyst. Even if the Fountain of Youth that Yu Yang obtained could be used for bathing, he wouldn't take it out to exchange with others. He would never complain about having too many of such things. Previously, Yu Yang had only obtained a few thunder-attributed spirit stones from the Thunder Fortress. He had been looking for them ever since he ascended to the Heaven Realm, but to no avail. Finally, he opened the boxes that Captain Wildbull had placed in the third door of the stingy ghost treasure trove. Only then did he discover that they contained spirit stones that were extremely rare even in the heavenly realm. Although the spirit stone was not a heaven crystal, it was still extremely rare. Ordinary heaven stage warriors were simply unable to use the enormous energy of the heaven crystal. If they wanted to improve themselves or their war beasts, one of the more common methods was to absorb the energy contained in the spirit stone. This kind of absorption process was actually very slow. However, for many beings who were born as heaven stage beings with mediocre potential, the increase of spirit stones was almost all of their hopes for advancement. Fighting could also increase one's strength. This sentence wasn't wrong, but heaven-ranked powerhouses that relied purely on fighting to increase their strength couldn't live for long. In that kind of endless battle, as long as they failed once, their lives would end. This was also the main reason why the heaven realm allowed heaven stage experts to surrender to the enemy's territory under certain circumstances. If all the heaven stage warriors fought to the death, then all the current heaven stage warriors would be reduced by 9 out of 10, or even more. I'm very sorry. There's no such thing as you said. Our place is very remote and belongs to the countryside. It doesn't produce any rare or interesting treasures. Yu Yang did not ask the other party what he could exchange for. In his eyes, no matter what he exchanged for, it would be a loss. Is that so? The patrol king in the carriage did not mind and laughed. If you're interested, you can find me to exchange. You're a senior. Of course I'll listen to you. Yu Yang casually bowed and prepared to send the other party away. 2 interesting children. We'll meet again if fate allows it. The patrol king in the carriage laughed and ordered the carriage to depart. 8 handsome snow sky dragon horses pulled the carriage at the same time. In an instant, the luxurious extended carriage soared into the sky and flew away. The personal guard captain with the strength of heaven stage level 5 looked at the sexy and enchanting Bai Lu and realized that she still did not look at him from the corner of her eyes. She only pulled on the corner of Yu Yang's clothes, as if she was afraid that he would fly away. He immediately felt extremely sour in his heart. Looking at Yu Yang again, he completely ignored him and yawned. The personal guard captain was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Out of duty, he immediately rode on the heaven stage level 3 infernal nightmare and gave Bai Lu a courteous knight salute. Then, he led a group of personal guards and followed closely behind the carriage. Bai Lu stretched out her hand and lightly pinched Yu Yang's arm. Tell me, didn't I cooperate with you? Just now, I saw that idiot knight's nose was crooked from anger. I really don't understand what kind of person the patrol king is. Why would he recruit such a narrow-minded and self-righteous personal guard captain? Yu Yang snorted coldly. It's precisely because this guy is so scheming that he would do this. What's real and what's fake is the best disguise. Moreover, don't you think so? With such a self-righteous personal guard captain, that old fellow patrol king's prestige is even more obvious. For a city lord in the lower realm, wouldn't it be more convenient to have such a self-righteous personal guard captain? I dare say that the patrol king came here with a purpose. He saw the Lionheart king and Tuo Yi king fighting in the dark and was curious about our identities. Therefore, he used the name of your father, an old friend, to come here to gather information. He even wanted to rope us in as his pawns between the Lionheart king and Tuo Yi king. Hearing his analysis, Bai Lu also furrowed her brows. The patrol king didn't come earlier or later, he just had to come at this time. It couldn't help but make people suspicious. Most importantly, he actually hinted that he was willing to exchange with Yu Yang, the prince of Soaring Dragon from the Western Heaven Realm. Didn't this mean that he wanted to borrow Yu Yang's strength to stab the Lionheart king and Tuo Yi king? What should we do next? In order to cooperate with your battle plan, I've already ordered my subordinates to not move. But you must know that I'm only a lord of a dead country. I don't have absolute control over the city lords under me. Taking 10,000 steps back, you clan's 3rd young master who has gained a lot. You should at least leave some bones for everyone to chew on, right? Everyone's stomachs are growling from watching you eat. It's not a good idea to keep looking at you like this. The sexy and enchanting Bai Lu giggled and said, as long as you think of a way to not let everyone starve, it's not a problem if you want me to serve you bathing. Go away. Yu Yang was furious. I hate people who say one thing and do another. What do you mean by serving me? You stood 10 meters away from me and watch me soak in the bath. How can that be called serving me? This day will come sooner or later. Aren't you busy with business now? Why are you messing around with men and women? The important things are more important. Bai Lu was not angry. Personally, I don't agree with the alliance. However, since you guys have cooperated with our plan and have paid a certain price, I'll force it. Let's not talk about anything else. I'll just say one thing. Go back and tell those idiotic old fellows that it's not impossible to gnaw on bones. Prepare your dentures first, because many bones are too hard to gnaw on and will gnaw off your teeth. Take a long-term view and don't just see the small benefits in front of you. Yu Yang waved his hand and sent Bai Lu away. Your Excellency, Emerald Lord, if there's nothing else, you can leave now. I still have a lot of things to do. It's the former Emerald Lord of a dead country. Bai Lu corrected. Finally, before teleporting away, she looked back and smiled mischievously. Aren't you worried that the guard captain will come back at night and fight you to the death? His infernal nightmare is not bad. I'm lacking a cool mount. Yu Yang turned around and gave Bai Lu a view of his back. I've seen many outstanding men in the heaven realm, but I've never seen one like him who makes me not know whether to laugh or cry. With him in the heaven realm, it might be very interesting. Bai Lu muttered to herself. She suddenly realized that her desire to recover the Emerald Territory, the life event that she thought would be her lifelong wish, had become unimportant. In comparison, recovering the Emerald Territory and the deer-chasing heavenly realm were like comparing fireflies to the bright moon. Should she continue to carry out the Firefly plan, or join his team wholeheartedly and participate in that bright and glorious cause? She was only at the third level of Heaven stage. In a Firefly plan, like recovering the Emerald Territory, she was still not strong enough. If she wanted to join the deer-chasing heavenly realm, could she really do it? Bai Lu asked herself. After a long time, a smile appeared on her face. As if she had figured something out, she shouted towards the city lord's mansion. Wait for me. I will definitely surprise you. Don't underestimate me. Otherwise, I guarantee that your eyeballs will fall to the ground. She raised her small pink fist and waved it twice, as if she was cheering herself on. The moment the teleportation flashed, she even turned around and took a look. Seeing that there was a pair of eyes hidden behind the mask looking at her, she was even more delighted. She waved her hand again and then disappeared. This girl is a big trouble. Yu Yang said to himself, what should we do tonight? Zhongguan, Hei Tu, and Bai Ma of the Surrender Trio appeared beside Yu Yang. In order to hide their identities, they had been hiding in Hui Tai Lang's grimoire world. In the evening, there will be a very interesting welcome banquet. What we have to do is to make it unforgettable for the guests. A smile appeared at the corner of Yu Yang's mouth. Beautiful women would be dazzled by his smile, but in the eyes of Zhongguan and the Surrender Trio, this sunny smile was 10,000 times more terrifying than the smile of a demon. When this smile appeared, it meant that someone was unlucky. Chapter 727. Outside Nightless City, Pit of 10,000. A hell nightmare burning with dark flames descended from the sky. On its back was the personal guard captain who was arrogant and disdainful during the day. From the darkness, a dark figure that looked like a mouse drilled out and respectfully knelt in front of the guard captain. Respected Heaven Ranker, I have already found out about your whereabouts. During the day, the beauty who appeared in the city lord's mansion was the first leader of the rebel army, Bai Lu, the daughter of the former Emerald Lord. She held the important seal given to the Emerald Lord by the Upper Realm. In recent years, she had been exiled outside the Emerald Territory, far away from the current Emerald Lord Cloud Island. Other than a few loyal old officials of the independent rebel army in the faraway cities, almost no one remembered her existence. According to some special secret channels, Bai Lu has the desire to recover the Emerald Territory, but has not found a suitable ally. What about that man? The personal guard captain had no ill will towards the beauty, but he hated Yu Yang to the bone. The masked Prince Long Tongue from the Western Heaven Realm is a very mysterious martial artist. No one has ever seen his true face. Prince Long Tongue is good at hiding his aura. On the surface, his strength is not at heaven stage, but his true combat power is very terrifying. He once defeated old Demon Wei, who had just climbed to the 5th level of heaven stage. The mole-like shadow could not gather more information about Yi Yang. Do you think such a little information is worth 200,000 gold? The personal guard captain sneered. Originally, this information was worth at least 50,000 gold coins. However, since you think it is not enough, I will give it to you for free. Prince Longtongue is good at a special domain power. No one can escape within the domain. Old Demon Wei and the others all died in battle. The mole-like shadow replied respectfully. No one can escape? The personal guard captain frowned slightly after hearing this. The only survivor is the former city lord, Black Wind. The shadow paused and said, however, Black Wind is currently in hiding. For the time being, we can't get any information about Prince Long Tongue's domain power from any channel. What other useful information is there? I want to confirm the truth. Don't deceive me with guesses and legends. The personal guard captain snorted. The last news is that all the teammates around Prince Longtongue have disappeared in the past few days. The shadow said with certainty. Did those people return to the Western Heaven Realm or hide? The personal guard captain asked. The shadow was unable to answer. Out of all the information I've purchased from the Mercenary Guild, you're the one I'm most dissatisfied with. No matter what information you give, it's all vague and vague. The fees are far higher than others. This is too disappointing. The guard captain tossed out a bronze card. Here's 100,000 gold coins. Get lost. If it wasn't for the Mercenary Guild agreement, I wouldn't even give you a single cent. I didn't expect that your information wasn't worth this price. No matter how rich I am, I won't pay for it. Respected Heaven Ranker, how can you go back on your words? In the agreement, it clearly states that it is 200,000 gold, and this was personally approved by the Silver Leaf Guild leader. The rat-like shadow did not leave. He bowed sincerely, hoping that the guard captain would change his mind. Scram! The personal guard captain felt that he had done his part. Although you are a Heaven rank level 5 powerhouse, how can you go back on your word? The mouse-like shadow sighed in disappointment. If you don't scram, then die. When the guard captain heard these words, he flew into a rage. He felt that he, a dignified Heaven rank level 5 powerhouse, was actually being questioned and mocked by an Earth rank weakling. It was truly a great insult. Like lightning, the Heaven rank level 3 hell nightmare spat out a raging flame at the mouse-like shadow. The mouse-like shadow wanted to escape, but with his strength, it was impossible for him to do so. The raging flames enveloped his body. The shadow that had turned into a flaming man didn't even struggle for a while before it was burned to ashes by the raging flames of hell. The guard captain looked at the pile of ashes and couldn't help but spit proudly. He laughed heartily and said, "How reckless! How can a mouse like you blaspheme us, a Heaven ranker? Your survival must be approved by us. Otherwise, it will be the day you die. A weak little worm dares to bargain with me. It's really laughable." Beneath him was a Heaven-ranked level 3 infernal nightmare. It also neighed proudly, snorting, pawing hooves. Raging flames raged. The raging flames on the Hell Nightmare's body made the guard captain even more majestic. The guard captain looked at the nightless city in the distance and gathered energy in his hands. He was preparing to condense a huge energy ball and raise the nightless city to the ground from tens of kilometers away. This was one of the abilities he was most proud of among all the skills he had mastered. It was a type of blazing explosion bomb that could destroy an entire city from afar, from 30 kilometers away. As long as a large enough blazing explosion bomb was condensed, it could easily wipe out a city from the earth. If there was anyone who could survive this kind of explosion bomb, they must be at least Heaven ranker. He didn't know if the arrogant masked man would die from his own blazing explosion bomb, but he was sure that the Heaven rank level 3 Bai Lu would not be in any danger. Although she didn't look at him, the guard captain was still reluctant to kill such a beauty. From his experience, that sexy and enchanting Bai Lu was only hot on the surface. She was really an inexperienced virgin. If she was a beauty, if he could catch her and train her well, That would be great. As for that damn masked man, even if he was lucky enough not to die, what awaited him was his own unstoppable revenge. He believed that the masked man would kneel at his feet and tremble. If he thought that the special domain he used to restrict Old Demon Wei would be useful against him, then he was wrong. Completely wrong. Old Demon Wei didn't even have a summoning grimoire. He didn't even have the qualifications to enter the upper realm. Compared to him, Old Demon Wei, who was at the 5th level of Heaven stage, was just a small bug. A slightly bigger bug. Be destroyed in the flames. You will never know how severe the punishment for offending me, a Heaven stage powerhouse, will be. The guard captain raised a mountain-sized, blazing explosion bomb in his hand. It was as majestic as a god. Just as he was about to mercilessly throw out the condensed, blazing explosion bomb and destroy the nightless city, a shadow suddenly appeared behind the guard captain. On his face, he wore the unique Gemini mask, and his eyes always carried a mocking smile. He was naturally Yu Yang, who had prepared a banquet and was waiting for the guard captain. Yu Yang didn't launch a sneak attack. If he launched a sneak attack, he would definitely succeed. Good. However, he didn't do that. He just quietly looked at the guard captain, his eyes shining like a miser looking at a pile of gold coins. The guard captain immediately discovered that there was someone behind him. He turned his head and discovered that it was actually his enemy, Yu Yang. His body trembled violently. His eyes were filled with astonishment. He never would have thought that his enemy had already touched his back, but he still didn't realize it. Just as he was about to take action to seize the initiative, a light smoke emerged from the black, scorched earth, condensing into a mouse-like shadow. The shadow prostrated on the ground and kowtowed to Yu Yang. "Thank you for saving me, Your Highness. If not for this, Smoke Flea would have died without a burial place." Yu Yang waved his hand. "I have already said that selling the information to me is the right way. Not everyone is as trustworthy as me." The mouse-like shadow replied respectfully, "Please forgive Smoke Flea, because I had accepted the task of Uncle Ding. Before Uncle Ding broke the agreement, Smoke Flea didn't want to violate the agreement. Now, after Smoke Flea completed the task, he let Uncle Ding kill him wantonly, so there is no longer any restriction on the agreement. Your Highness, although there has never been such a precedent, Smoke Flea decided to make an exception and give you the information you need free of charge." When the guard captain heard that the name he had been hiding was exposed by the mouse-like shadow, his face suddenly changed and his killing intent rose. Uncle Ding, originally a subordinate of King Luo Ma from the Southern Heaven Realm. Because of his audacity, he took advantage of the fact that Master was fighting a strong enemy and had an affair with King Luo Ma's beloved concubine. Afterwards, King Luo Ma escaped quickly after a narrow victory, changing his name to Shi Feng and an I Shi. Then, he changed his name to Extraordinary and joined the Patrol King of the Heaven Realm. Because of his good fighting strength and eloquence, he was appreciated. Later, he ambushed Captain Zaogon from the back when he was killing a demon beast, stole Captain Zaogon's origin energy belt, and forcefully took Captain Zaogon's heaven-ranked beast, Pu Gue, and finally became the Patrol King's guard captain. Uncle Ding has bullied Master and murdered his friends and relatives. There are countless examples of his misdeeds. Because he has a top-grade holy level ring of deception, he has covered up everything and is safe and sound. The shadow reported the information of the guard captain to Yu Yang. Anything else? The guard captain Ding really didn't know that so many of his secrets were known by others. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He swore in his heart that no matter what, he must kill these two people who knew his real identity today. Otherwise, if the Luo Ma King found out, his life would be in danger. He was so angry that he laughed and asked, "Looks like you really know a lot. Other than the ring of deception and the origin energy belt, what else do you know?" Uncle Ding is good at 4 types of attacks. The first one is the blazing explosive bomb. It's the most powerful, but it must be used from a distance of 10 kilometers and not more than 30 kilometers. The further the distance, the more powerful the explosion. When the shadow said this, the guard captain Ding's face immediately became distorted. "Continue talking." I guarantee that no matter how angry he is, he won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. Yu Yang promised the shadow. Uncle Ding's second attack method is to use flame spray as one, just like how he killed the dwarf just now. The weakness is that he must ride on the infernal nightmare. The third attack method is to plunder Captain Zhao Gan's Pu Gui. Uncle Ding's saliva has some kind of poison that can paralyze people. Combined with the Pu Gui's ability, he can kill people without leaving a trace. Uncle Ding's most secret attack method, the art of fat sheep. The shadow revealed Uncle Ding's most secret attack method. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost. He had never used this special art of fat sheep in front of a living person. He didn't expect this smoke flea to know this secret so well. Art of fat sheep? Yu Yang was curious and asked. I'm not too sure. It should be a very special ability that needs to meet certain conditions. It can temporarily turn the enemy's body into a fat sheep and kill them within a limited time. Then, the enemy will die in the state of a fat sheep and will never be able to recover. The rat-like smoke flea explained. Interesting. Yu Yang sighed. I didn't expect the ring of deception to have such a magical effect. Originally, the guard captain Ding Bo still had the last bit of arrogance on his face. However, after hearing Yu Yang's words, he was completely dumbfounded. The only secret that he had yet to reveal had been seen through by Yu Yang. He was so angry that he couldn't control himself. He raised his right hand that was wearing the ring of deception. All of you, turn into fat sheep and die. Before I die, I will use the cruelest methods in the world to torture all of you. You can let out a cry of despair. You can leave now. In the future, if I need anything, I will definitely look for you to ask for information. I have to praise you. You are really an expert at getting information. Yu Yang didn't even look at the incomparably furious Uncle Ding. He waved his hand at the rat that was as ugly as a smoke flea. Your information is definitely worth 200,000. You can find Baogu to make up for the rest of the money. Chapter 728. Want to leave? Ding Bo sneered. How could he let the opponent leave just like that, knowing so many of his secrets? He raised his left hand and summoned a silver grimoire. A unique domain that belonged to him rose up. A smoke-like substance surged out from his body and quickly spread out, forming a semicircular domain within 100 meters. This was Ding Bo's domain power, spirit domain. Within 100 meters of smoke-like space, all enemies would be affected. As long as they were not as strong as Ding Bo, they would be forcefully added to the domain into a spirit state. Enemies in a spirit state would have their attack and defense weakened. Of course, this was not the main point. The main point was that only enemies in a spirit state would be able to use the unique transformation ability of the Ring of Deception to turn them into a fat sheep. Sheep transformation, using blood as a guide. Ding Bo bit the tip of his tongue and mixed the blood and saliva together. Then he spat it out fiercely. Saliva and blood with paralyzing poison shot out like arrows. Even if it was just a mouthful of saliva, it was also extremely powerful. The rat-like smoke flea couldn't escape from the spirit domain in time and was hit by the saliva on its back. In an instant, his body shone. The smoke flea that was paralyzed let out a scream. Countless smoke-like substances surrounded its body tightly. When it dispersed, the originally short smoke flea had already turned into a fat, white, clumsy sheep. If it wasn't for Yu Yang's timely help, the smoke flea that had turned into a sheep would have fallen off the cliff. It would have been smashed to pieces. Yu Yang waved his hand lightly. The smoke flea that had turned into a sheep floated down to the ground, as if it was supported by a light wind. Its forehooves landed on the ground, completely unharmed. The smoke flea that had turned into a sheep but still had a mind of its own looked at Yu Yang and bowed its head to express its gratitude. Then, it took a step and quickly ran out of the spirit domain. Of course, Ding Bo wouldn't let it go so easily. With a press of his hand, a golden light shone from the silver grimoire. A golden horn-flamed demon covered in flames appeared. Its level was not as high as the infernal nightmare. It was only heaven-ranked level 1, but it had an extraordinary intelligence. Its cunning eyes flashed with a sinister light. The golden horn flame devil stomped on the ground. Within the specter domain, there was no reaction at all. But outside the specter domain, it instantly turned into a sea of flames. If the smoke flea, which had turned into a sheep, charged forward again, it would inevitably become a whole roasted sheep. Playing with fire? Yu Yang did not summon his grimoire at all, nor did he raise his creation domain. He only summoned the spirit of heaven fire. Who? As soon as spirit of heaven fire came out, she exhaled gently towards the sea of fire outside the spirit domain. The sea of fire immediately rose and broke away from golden horned flame devil's control, completely under spirit of heaven fire's control. She pointed down the mountain with her hand, and a path of fire split open in the burning flames, allowing the smoke fleas to leave easily without being burned by the flames. Compared to controlling fire, spirit of heaven fire, whose origin was nirvana flame, which was composed of storm, flame, lightning, spirit, and ghost, was undoubtedly better. Golden horned flame demon roared its spirit of heaven fire, but did not dare to act rashly, because it also knew that this was a formidable opponent. Magma Wyvern. Uncle Ding stretched out his hand and summoned another quasi-heaven rank Magma Wyvern. He sneered at Yu Yang. You want to compete with more war beasts? Come on, I'll let you, a Bulsh Astris T-Prince, see what a real heaven ranker is. If you think that I'm the same as other heaven rankers, then you're wrong. Do you think that every heaven ranker has a grimoire like me? Impossible. Only a true ranker has a grimoire. I agree, but I want to say that even if you have a grimoire, you're not necessarily a true ranker. Yu Yang saw the magma wyvern rush into the sky and dive towards the cliff, turning into a sheep smoke flea. He also summoned the Reaper Mantis and let her chase after it to end the life of the magma wyvern. Centaur Chief. Uncle Ding was not alarmed by the appearance of the Reaper Mantis. He immediately summoned a Centaur Chief with a horse's body and a human's head, and let this Centaur Chief with a bow and a short spear on his back attack the Reaper Mantis. The Magma Wyvern also turned around at the same time and attacked the Reaper Mantis together with the Centaur Chief. Seeing that the situation was favorable, Ding Bo sneered at Yu Yang. You want to compete with me in war beasts? You're asking to be humiliated. Then, he summoned an extremely ugly, two-headed giant demon. This two-headed giant demon was 30 meters tall. It roared loudly. It lifted a huge rock from the side of the pit and threw it fiercely at Yu Yang. Yu Yang jumped lightly, dodging the boulder's attack. However, Uncle Ding waved his hand with a pleased look in his eyes. A quasi-heaven rank poison arrow porcupine shot tens of thousands of arrows, densely packed like rain, towards Yu Yang in the sky. Uncle Ding knew that these methods were not enough to kill his opponent, but he was not anxious. He was confident that he could kill his opponent. He only wanted to torture and ravage this hateful enemy before killing him to vent the hatred in his heart during the day. The two-headed giant demon that forced Yu Yang to jump again lifted a rock that was as big as a small mountain and threw it down the cliff towards the sheep smoke flea. It was still a sheep smoke flea. It dodged with great difficulty. Suddenly, a war beast that had snuck out from the spirit domain unknowingly hid in the path of the sheep smoke flea's escape. It sprayed a thick yellow smoke at the smoke flea. The smoke flea that was caught in the yellow smoke immediately fainted, its body still in the sheep state. This weasel-like war beast picked up the fainted smoke flea and returned to its master's side. Uncle Ding looked at the smoke flea condescendingly and mocked with a bit of disdain. Pitiful weakling, you still think that you can escape from me. You who do not have the awareness of being a weakling is destined to have a pitiful fate. Trusting a quasi-heaven rank friend and challenging a heaven rank ranker who has a grimoire. This is the biggest mistake in your life. After mocking it, it shouted loudly at Yu Yang, who had just dodged the rain of arrows. Look at your current appearance. Do you still dare to boast? Even if I did not use 100% of my strength, I can still easily play you in the palm of my hand. Didn't you say that you can protect this guy's life? Didn't you say that I can't even touch a single hair on his head? Right now, As long as I want to, I can crush his body and bones at any time. What can you do? The fate of the weak smoke flee. His fate is the same as yours, because you are also a pitiful weakling. Weakling, your name is incompetent. Ha 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 ha. The one who laughs at the end is the one who is truly strong. Yu Yang waved his hand. Uncle Ding realized that his ghost domain had changed a little. Unknowingly, a shadow had appeared in front of him. It was a female barbarian cow that looked like a sheep-horned woman. Other than possession, reconstruction, giant shadow, inseparable, and so on, there was also a special skill called shadow evasion. Shadow evasion. The phantom can freely blend into the darkness, and the naked eye cannot see its existence. In an extremely special environment, the phantom can be supplied with a large amount of spiritual energy to create a dark fog and forcefully blend into the darkness. Just as Uncle Ding was laughing proudly and mocking continuously, a man had already snuck in front of him. Facing this different female barbarian cow, Uncle Ding instinctively felt danger. Almost at the same time he attacked, the weasel-like war beast had already pounced towards a man, preparing to use its speed to attack the barbarian cow's shadow. A man died. A man opened her left hand and grabbed the weasel's throat like an eagle grabbing a chick. She casually threw the weasel onto the ground. The entire cliff shook violently. The protruding rocks shook nonstop, as if there was an earthquake. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground where the weasel hit the ground. Broken rocks rolled down from a cliff. Compared to the two-headed giant demon's stone throw just now, the power was 10 times stronger. A man threw the weasel, whose skull was shattered, towards a faraway mountain rock. Rumble. A piece of mountain rock exploded, and together with the weasel's body, it fell into the pit of 10,000 people at the bottom of the valley. The porcupine that had shot the poison arrow did not even have time to shoot the sharp thorns on its back before it was kicked away by a man. It smashed into the bottom of the valley like a meteor, chasing after the weasel. The two-headed giant demon had just lifted a huge rock when a man heavily struck its abdomen. The two heads of the two-headed giant demon that was lifting the rock immediately drooped down, four of its eyes rolled back and its arms went limp. It knelt down and was buried by the mountain-like rock on top of its head. Raging flames spray. Uncle Ding's expression was extremely ugly, but he was still fearless as he patted the Hell Nightmare. The Hell Nightmare, whose strength was at heaven-ranked level 3, immediately spat out hellfire. The raging flames enveloped a man's entire body. In this kind of hellfire, even the fire dragon crystal, which was known to be able to withstand high temperatures in Heaven Realm, would melt into water. Uncle Ding laughed coldly in his heart towards a man who did not dodge. No matter how strong you were, as long as you were made of flesh and blood, you would not be able to withstand the hellfire that he and the Hell Nightmare had spat out. Hateful fellow, a man walked out of the raging flames like the Emperor of Fire. She used her hands to split open the flames, causing Uncle Ding to stare blankly. She who had frequently endured the Nirvana flame to reconstruct her body, other than the Nirvana flame, no other flames could easily harm her body. Although the hellfire's power was terrifying, a man turned a blind eye to it. She directly charged through the raging flame storm and threw out a punch, fiercely hitting the Hell Nightmare's head. Boom! The heaven-ranked level 3 Hell Nightmare's noble head tilted to the side, its huge eyes revealing an angry expression. However, a man did not care about the Hell Nightmare's thoughts at all. She had killed many heaven-ranked level 3 war beasts. The Hell Nightmare was nothing. The Hell Nightmare suddenly turned its head and exploded with the unique mental attack of the Nightmare Clan. It stared at a man with its huge dead eyes, preparing to seriously injure this female barbarian cow who dared to harm it. A man was forced to take a big step back by the explosive power of the dead eyes. Uncle Ding was overjoyed. He thought that a man would fall because of this and then die in despair in the Nightmare's mental world. However, the cruel reality was that a man was completely fine. A man, who often trained with Red, was used to mental attacks. Moreover, her mind was connected with her master, Yu Yang. Unless Yu Yang's supreme will was destroyed, It was impossible to destroy on man's mental world. Even the expert from tens of thousands of years ago, Emperor Wu Shuang's general impasse, could only affect on man when he summoned the wry-faced mushroom and was unable to directly injure on man. The nightmare Deadeye's attack had completely angered on man. A feeling welled up in her heart. In an instant, a pair of beautiful big eyes turned blood red, as if they were the eyes of a death god. Red light flashed when man angrily stared back at the heaven-ranked level 3 Hell Nightmare. Not only the Hell Nightmare, even Uncle Ding on its back started to scream. He rolled down from the horse's back, hugged his head, and cried out in pain. The gaze of death, which had not erupted for a long time, was finally triggered when man was extremely angry. Furthermore, at the same time, it was also triggered by the even more terrifying blood pupil double kill. Crimson Eyes double kill was a skill that activated when Doom's Gaze was activated. After killing an enemy in an instant, there was a certain chance of killing a related enemy as well. Uncle Ding, who was the owner of this skill, was unlucky. Although he was not killed by the blood pupil double kill, his soul was severely injured. On the surface, he looked fine, but his soul had suffered immeasurable damage. This kind of damage was irreparable to the soul. Of course, even if it could be healed, Yu Yang would not give Uncle Ding the chance. The heaven-ranked level 3 Hell Nightmare fell to the ground, causing Yu Yang's wish to seize it as a mount to fail. Of course, Yu Yang did not really care about this. He only wanted to temporarily find a flashy war beast to mess up the southern heaven realm, and then take advantage of the chaos to fish in troubled waters. Now that the Hell Nightmare had fallen, Uncle Ding's soul was heavily injured, causing Uncle Ding to fall off the horse in a sorry state. This made Yu Yang laugh out loud. Continue to summon war beasts to scare me. I'm very scared. Yu Yang summoned Red, who could not wait to try her skills. Seeing that the situation was not good, the Golden Horn Flame demon betrayed and ran away on the spot. Behind Red, a pair of bright silver wings appeared. As soon as this pair of beautiful silver wings appeared, her and Yu Yang's spiritual power were greatly boosted. Without Yu Yang's command, Red reached out and waved the already mutated Whip of Pain. It was close to the power of the goddess envoy, and with the support of the silver wings, this Whip of Pain simply took the life of the Golden Horn Flame demon. Just as it opened its bloody mouth and was about to scream in pain, Red burst out the banshee scream on top of its head, although it was not fully awakened. However, Red now also had a great power close to that of the goddess envoy. As soon as the banshee scream came out, the Golden Horned Flame demon's eardrums exploded, blood flowed out of its 7 orifices, and it fainted on the spot. The Centaur chief, who had just shot an arrow to rescue, suddenly found that the target had flashed behind him. There was no time to pull out the short spear on his back. The Centaur chief directly waved the bowstring behind him and rushed forward, intending to hide from the enemy's back and attack. Goat transformation. Red pointed at the Centaur chief. The Centaur chief instantly transformed into a black and thin old goat. What is this? Uncle Ding was extremely shocked. Without the ring of deception and the spirit domain, the opponent could still have this kind of goat transformation skill. Red took out the god-killing dagger and stabbed it into the old goat's forehead. She directly killed the Centaur chief. After death, the Centaur chief quickly returned to his original body, no longer maintaining the appearance of a goat. Uncle Ding stretched out his big hand towards Red. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat at her, hoping to turn this woman into a fat sheep. As long as he killed this terrifying woman, he could then go back and deal with the barbarian cow with endless brute force. Red was extremely disgusted with this kind of disgusting behavior. She flapped the silver wings on her back. She quickly flew around. In an instant, she flew past Uncle Ding. That mouthful of bloody saliva contained mental energy and automatically chased after its target within the spirit domain. However, as Red flew around it, the saliva flew towards Uncle Ding's face at an extremely fast speed. It flew in a straight line towards Red, who was hiding behind Uncle Ding. Along the way, did not know how to automatically turn, so it would definitely hit Uncle Ding. Oh no! Uncle Ding was shocked. He hurriedly wanted to take off the ring of deceit on his finger. However, he saw Yu Yang's smiling eyes. Yu Yang stretched out his right hand. Void appeared in front of Uncle Ding. Little Wen Li's binding inherent skill exploded. If Uncle Ding's soul was not injured by the blood pupil's double kill, he would not even need to take off the ring of deceit. He would be able to avoid this mouthful of saliva. However, his soul was heavily injured and his body's agility was greatly reduced. Furthermore, he had to divide his attention to maintain the spirit domain. Little Wen Li's binding inherent skill had already caused the clown and wise demon marshal to suffer a great loss. Even if Uncle Ding, who was heaven-ranked level 5, could break free, he could not do it immediately. He could only watch helplessly as the saliva spat out hit his forehead. Pu-Gui, save me. Pu-Gui, save me. Uncle Ding used the last of his strength to summon his last beast, Pu-Gui. His guardian beast was a goblin saliva worm that had fused with him. It was usually very useful, but it could not save his life in a critical moment. In an extremely critical situation, he immediately chose to summon Pu-Gui. As long as Pu-Gui allowed him to spit, he could immediately transfer the power of the curse to Pu-Gui's body, and he would be safe and sound. Roar! Pu-Gui immediately betrayed him when he was summoned. Before this, Pu-Gui had never shown any signs of betrayal. Uncle Ding had always thought that his charm was greater than Captain Zheogan's. He never expected that Pu-Gui would only endure the humiliation and wait for an opportunity. When Uncle Ding was in danger, not only did Pu-Gui not save him, he even spat on Uncle Ding's face with disdain. After it betrayed him, it soared high into the sky and cried to its heart's content. It let out the first painful wail after Captain Zheogan's death, using this to pay homage to its original owner. Countless wisps of smoke surrounded Uncle Ding's body tightly. In his despair, Uncle Ding turned the ring of deceit's ability in his hand into a fat and white sheep. Yu Yang laughed out loud, extremely happy. He picked up the elemental belt and ring of deceit that had fallen to the ground and smiled at the idiotic Uncle Ding. Although I don't really like to eat mutton hot pot, if you're treating me, I will reluctantly eat a meal. The funniest thing was that Smoke Flea, who was still in the state of a sheep, saw Uncle Ding who had turned into a sheep. He was furious and knocked his head on Uncle Ding's body. Relying on the fact that he had turned into a sheep earlier, he had better control over the sheep's body. He used his head to knock Uncle Ding fiercely, as if he wanted to knock Uncle Ding down the cliff to his death. Uncle Ding panicked. He couldn't care less about Yu Yang watching from the side. He also used his head to knock Smoke Flea, try his best to stabilize his body so that he wouldn't fall to his death after turning into a sheep. Ha ha. Yu Yang laughed so hard that tears came out. Choo-choo. The Reaper Mantis at the top of the mountain had already caught the magma wyvern and was chewing on its head. Wyvern? That was her favorite on the menu. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.